What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to the Punk Rock Review podcast. Today, I'm hanging out with Sean Vertigo. He is in the band Sean of the Dead, not in the Dead. Sean of the Dead, right?
It's and
No, it is and. God damn it!
Yeah.
The fucking movie is Shaun of the Dead. Your band is Sean and the Dead. You might recognize him from the stream and podcast. We've covered his music on here before. Like high octane punk rock and roll is kind of how I feel is a good description of it. Very, very rock and roll, but still punk rock, at least in my opinion, from my terrible fucking memory. But we had talked about getting on and hanging out for a little bit and talking, so that's what we're here to do. So okay, you're in LA. How's everything going with you? You guys, I assume that you're doing fine right now.
Yeah, things are pretty good, man. These fires have been crazy, but luckily, where I live, I mean, we had some evacuation orders and we had to get out for a day, but it wasn't that bad. There's a lot of people personally that I know as well from the film and music world that have been impacted pretty crazy by it. So it sucks, man. I've lived in LA my whole life and I've never seen anything this crazy. Like as far as the
Oh
wildfires go,
wow.
we get them, but not like this. This is something different.
Do you know the band The Last Gang?
I don't know.
Okay, so they're out of LA, and there's the singer is a woman named Brenna, and I had her on last week, and she said the exact same thing. I've been in LA my whole life. We get these all the time. This shit is different, and it's just
Yeah.
it's kind of it's terrifying and horrible and awful. It's almost kind of amazing to see the scale of it if you're looking at it strictly from just like a natural disaster, I guess you'd say. It's kind of like whenever I can relate to a certain degree. I lost everything in Hurricane Harvey, and I
Oh
remember
shit.
standing up on a top of a 2-story apartment building and like looking out, and all I could see was water and then like little bits of buildings poking up in Houston, dude. And I'm like, it was insane. And I remember multiple times being like kind of amazed by it, more so than I probably should have been running for the hills, right? But I was just like, what the fuck, dude? This is so crazy. Um,
Yeah,
that being
that's
said,
wild, man.
it was just one of those things that that's the only way that I can relate to it, is that it's so big and so insane that you're like, what is happening? Like you take yourself out of like, oh, poor me or poor this. You're like, safety. That's the main concern here. Food, people having a place to stay. Like you go right into community. At least that's what we did. It was,
Yeah, it seems
I
like
feel,
it's been like that out here too.
yeah. Well,
LA's
I'm glad that you're
gotten a lot
safe.
of love. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, dude. A lot of people that are good people in LA. There's a lot of bad people everywhere, but there's a lot of good people in LA, man. I don't want bad people to deal with that shit, bro. I'm a equal opportunity helper, man. You got some shit you need help with. If I can do it, I'll do it. Uh well, what's going on with your band right now? What are you guys doing as far as new music? Are you touring? What's going on with the band?
So when I originally the stuff that you heard, the EP, when I originally recorded that stuff, um, I wrote an entire album. I released an EP,
Oh, okay.
but there was 13 songs, and out of those 13, we narrowed it down to 5. And so it was like we're going to come out swinging with a EP, which was really extremely hard because in my mind I was like, we've got this perfect 13. That's a great record right there. And then it was like, all right, but what if it's an EP? And then just the thought of trying to narrow that down, that took some time. I actually sat with the producer Paul Fig that I was working with, and we talked about it. I talked to many sources, talked to the label about it, family, friends, like everybody had their own group of songs that they said,
Right.
here's your 5. So when it came down to it, it was just like, okay, I've got to make this choice. So there's a whole album now, like even more material, probably an album and a half at this point. So definitely going to be releasing some more stuff this year. Want to do some more. Want to do some shows. I've got something planned, pretty cool, I think, for the first show that we'll do, since we are a relatively new band.
Yeah.
And I want to do something cool with it. We're dropping a video with Cleopatra Records on Wednesday, the 29th.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it's a video for one of the songs that was on the EP.
I'm gonna write
That'll
that down
be
so I can check it out.
Yeah, they've got, like, if you go to their YouTube channel right now, they've got a whole like premiere setup for it that it's going to be releasing. It's a fun video. It's fast paced. I mean, it's a quick, fast song. It's like a 1.5 minute song. So the video's fast.
You had a couple of shorter ones. I remember having a lot of variation. I need to go back and listen to that again. I really enjoyed it. And I played it. I think I might have played it. Did I do it on a live stream? I can't remember. But I remember listening to the whole entire thing on a video, and it got a good response. I think it was on a live stream.
I think so, yeah. You guys said some pretty cool stuff about it. I was appreciative of the nice things.
Oh, for sure, man. Hey, the only problem with me is that I'm kind of non-filtered, and so if it's like something I don't like, I'll just say it. And so I really hate when I don't like stuff because I don't have any. I don't know why I can't just shut the fuck up. Like it'd be nice if I could just shut up. Like as an example, I just kind of like went in on Husker Du recently, and like not like hard, or anything. I just was I just don't really care for it, right? And on the flip side of that coin, people take this shit so seriously. Like if you're not even in the band, like why do you give a shit what I'm saying? So okay.
It's great, man. I love hearing positive or negatives. Like, I mean, that could have went either way, and
right,
that's good. I like to hear that. It's just good to see. Not everyone's going to like what you do. I mean, I've been playing music my whole life, and I realized that you're never going to put an album out that everybody thinks is great. It doesn't matter, if they're super into this genre or that genre. No one's going to love everything you do. So it's good. It's good to hear the positives and the negatives. And sometimes those negatives, you think about it, you go, you know what? There's some like something I can learn from that, and maybe try, implementing that into the next record, and see if that kind of flows with it. Like music's just creative stream,
Right. Well, I mean that could go. You could say the exact same things for like content creation and like reviews, podcasting, whatever, right? So like while I'm sitting here going, I don't know why people care so much. Why do I care what they think? I don't really care. I like, I don't even. I kind of enjoy arguing with people on the internet about it because it's funny to me, right? I don't really care. I just don't understand why they're so bothered by stuff when I'm typically at least objective about things. I don't think that I just go off the rails and say some insane stuff. But what I was talking about right when we got on before we started recording was this youngster's hitting me up wanting me to like review music. And it's, that's considered promotion. And I don't typically do that like at no cost. If you send me a record, like a physical piece of media, I will open it and review it on the channel, at least to some degree, because I appreciate you adding to my collection of music or film or whatever, right? But if you're just sending me digital files, dude, I get that all the time.
I bet, man.
It's like, and I never expected that. I don't know why, but I mean, we're not even at 10K yet. What's it going to be like when we're at 25,000 subscribers? I'm going to be getting that shit every day. And I get a couple a week. And so, shoot, sometimes I get like 5 or 6 in a week. My issue isn't that I don't want to listen to it, because I do. But you have to put like a litmus test out there, because if somebody's not willing to spend $20 on like promotional stuff for their music, I don't know that I want to spend an hour making a video and 20 minutes listening to it and like coming up with something to say about it. Like, why do I want to spend all that time doing that? Because I'm not going to make any money on it. Like, let's just be honest. If I do a review for something that nobody's ever heard, it might get a few hundred views. It might even hit 1,000, but that's not a lot. And it's not that I'm doing this for the money, but if I'm going to do something that's going to not get me any kind of pay, I'd rather do something that I enjoy is my point. And so like when people don't want to put any investment into their own craft, it's kind of like, okay, that tells me a lot. I'd rather them say yes and then me say, hey, don't worry about the money. I was just wondering what you say about that. I've definitely done it for free more than I have done it for money. And it's usually people that just have like something positive to say after I say something about like, oh, here's a promo package. Here's what I offer. This young kid just did that. I'm literally going to just shoot him a message and go, no, bro, I got you, dude. I get it. You're 16. No worries. He was really nice about it. And he was like, thanks for responding. Because I guess nobody else responded to him. And that sucks, man. So I don't want to be, I want this kid to stay motivated is my point. Anyways.
But that's exciting too. It's exciting to hear that there's like 16-year-olds that are out there that are still trying to, make music and create.
That's true.
Just be creative. I love hearing that. I love hearing that because, things change so much. The music industry has changed so much.
Yes, but that's part of the problem with it, dude. Like, there are so many 16-year-olds doing it that's who I'm getting all these emails from. I can tell when it's somebody that's put together like an album, or they put together like as an example, just the language you used when you hit me up. It was very clear that I was like talking to somebody that at least knew what they were trying to do, and it wasn't like a phase. They weren't, I hate to say it like this, but they weren't some young kid in their bedroom just making stuff and just churning out heaps of nonsense and garbage and then trying to get people to play it so they can get some clout and popularity, because that's what they're trying to do when they're that age typically, which is why you have to come back with a retort and then see how they respond to that. And, I have zero issue helping almost any band. That should be very evident by what I do outside of the channel. But
so now I'm curious, like, because I'm sure you're getting a ton of submissions, like you were saying, just crazy submissions. Like, is there ever anything so like bad that you're like, I can't even talk about this? I just can't do it because it's just like there's nothing good to say, or you'll
no. So here's the thing. When I send I will read you the second part of it, dude. You'll appreciate this. So when I send the breakdown, dude, the most I've ever asked anybody was for $100, and that was to literally create an entire video of their entire album and like talk about every single track. Like that was going to take me an entire day, right? And so like even then I was kind of feeling weird about that dollar amount, right? I have everything from $10 is like I'm not trying to go and get people to pay me for stuff. And at the very bottom, it says in the thing, is I have it basically where I can just send it to people, because I was typing it out so frequently, I just made a thing I could copy and paste. And it says, at the bottom of it, there's a paragraph and it says, I am a reviewer of music and art, and this is paid promotion. It is not buying a good review. I do not do that. I will be happy to promote your band or your music, but I will give an honest review of it. And I try to be objective as much as subjective. But if you're not looking for a review, please don't do this. Straight up, I don't want anybody to think that they're buying a positive review. No, you are paying for promotion just like you would if you went to Facebook and said, promote my post. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, but anyone who wants that anyways, if they want to pay for a positive promotion, I mean, that's a waste of time.
I've literally had 20% of them say, oh, okay, I thought we could get a good review. Never mind. I swear to God, I've had that's when I added that, as I was like, I gotta make sure people understand that they're not paying for something, a specific outcome. Like they're just going, yeah, here, put my band's name.
How do you learn from that? How do you learn from that about your music?
And I have given like 2 different bands I've given like really bad reviews on that like paid for the promotion. It was a long video. I spent like 30-40 minutes just listening to the music on my channel. Like, it ended up being a couple of hours worth of work at least. And one of them just kind of like, I don't know, they said some stuff, but I had a feeling that they were kind of like, feelings were hurt a little bit. But one of them thought it was hilarious, and they were like, hey, whatever. And they said the same shit you said. Not everybody's gonna like our music, man. They're like, we're glad that you talked about it, because you also said some positive things. They're like, we were it's pretty obvious you didn't like it, but you said some really nice things. And I'm like, well, there's always something positive to say. You may not be buying a good review, quote unquote, but I can come up with something positive, man. Something about the production. There's got to be at least some kind of riffage in there I like. Maybe some lyrics, poke out that I really enjoy. Maybe there's some vocal stuff I really like, but I like a lot of music. It doesn't seem like I do because I'm kind of picky with music, but I do like a lot of different kinds of music. So I'm usually, if it's something I think I'm not going to dig, I usually look for stuff I like in it, so I can at least be, I don't want to be a complete piece of shit, man. I'm not that guy. I'm not trying to fake it either.
I actually watch a lot of your videos, and I've seen you're pretty
thank you.
Diverse with a lot of the music you like, which is cool. I mean, I think I've seen a lot of different things. I haven't seen those bad reviews you did, and now I want to go find them. That'd be fun to watch. But really, I think that if a band can't handle a negative review, they're in the wrong industry. This is just 100% for them. You have to have thick skin, and if you believe in what you actually do, then that's all that matters. Just believe in yourself is the way I've always felt about it. Like, I've literally been playing music my entire life. I've been through so many bands, so many projects. I'll never stop. Doesn't matter. Right. Doesn't matter what level I get to or what level I don't get to, or what people think and what people don't think. That doesn't matter. It's just something that's like, it's going to always happen. It'll never stop.
Right.
That's my outlook on it.
I always offer people like, hey man, look, if you're gonna help me with money, I'm gonna help you however I can. That can include like getting you on and talking on the podcast. That can get you, if I really like somebody's music a lot, I'm not gonna ask them for anything. I'm just gonna, like, that's, it's a weird gray area, man. I really wish that I could get enough ad revenue to where I wouldn't even need that. As soon as that happens, that shit's going out the window, man. Like I just it'll happen. I'll get there. But but then at that point, I'm gonna be a whole lot pickier with what I review. So it's weird. It's a weird thing that I do, man. And some people like it, some people don't. But I mean, if you go read the comments on the Husker Du video that I just dropped, you'll see how people they literally tell me I have a narrow definition of punk rock, and I'm like, I guess I mean I don't agree with that, but they're just mad 'cause I don't like Husker Du, I guess, which is fine. I don't understand. If you told me Rancid was the worst band in the world, I'd go, okay. Like, I don't give a shit if you like my favorite band. Like, what do I care? Like, what is that? How does that affect me? So,
Yeah, actually, I watched your Rancid unboxing video you put the other day.
oh,
That was a fun one.
dude, I love that band so much, man. And I understand they're not everybody's cup of tea, but that band helped save my life, dude. And,
Right on.
you know,
I'm actually a big fan as well, man. I love Rancid.
well, based on your T-shirt, I thought there was a fairly good chance you might like them. I don't assume anything, but pretty good chance. But well, what are some of the? I'm over here jibber jabbering, man. What are some of the influences on your band? I know that I've heard it, but the channel's grown quite a bit since I did that. So next time you have music come out, like you said on Wednesday, you're gonna have a video. So I'm gonna review that for sure. I want people to see this. But what are your influences when you're making music? What kind of stuff are you aiming to sound like, or are you?
You know what? I find that it comes like organic to me, like naturally. It's I've always just really played what I want to play. Like I never really sit down and go like, oh, I want to write a song that sounds like this or sounds like that. It's just like I'll have the weirdest moments. Like I'll be in the shower, I'll be, outside
Bro,
walking my dog, or like just some random moment, and then I hear like this in my head, this melody, this vibe, or like a lyric line or something, and I'll chase that down the rabbit hole. And like I'll run into my studio and like run out of the shower, run in the studio, still in my towel, and just grab the guitar before I lose it in my head. So I don't think there's any really like a band that I try to sound like. I love a lot of bands. Like I mean, my influences range. I say that my three R's, which is Ramones, Rancid, and Rudimentary Peni, which are three completely different sounding bands. And so like those are three of my top favorite bands. I mean, I just, I have, I love the hardcore stuff. I love, the skate punk stuff. I mean, there's so much, I mean, I like Depeche Mode. I like, different things. Like I like, a lot of heavy metal music. I like just different stuff, whatever sounds good to my ear, I'm there for it. Now it doesn't mean that I'm, taking influences from everything I like. It's just, I
right.
play when I feel like playing.
So for
Just
somebody that's sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
For someone uninitiated to your sound, how would you describe it?
You know what? You gave me one of the best compliments I think I've ever had. You said about one of my songs. You said that song was kind of like if Motorhead was a punk band, and you said it was very Ramones-ish. And like that right there is like that's awesome. I love Motorhead. I love the Ramones. That's not what I was going for, but I'm sure like that stuff's oozing from my soul because that's
Yes.
music that I love. So I'm sure there's influences in the music that I don't even catch. That was awesome. I thought that was really kind of telling of the the type of shit that I listen to on a day-to-day basis, really. So
Well, I mean, first off, I don't say stuff like that if I don't mean it. So if anybody ever hears me say something positive or negative even about a band or song or an artist or whatever, I typically mean it, man. And I don't brown nose people. I just love this shit and I get all jazzed up and I'm all excited and I love this stuff, man. Even with the Husker Du thing, I'm gonna go back and listen to their earlier material. That's why I made a video. I was like, yo, tell me what else to listen to. Stop being so damn sensitive and tell me what it is that you think I might like. You if you haven't watched the channel at all, yeah, you would say I have a narrow definition of punk because you don't know who the fuck I am. So either shut up or give me some recommendations. Good grief. But my what I was gonna get to is that like when you're writing music, at least in my experiences, I will sit down and be like, okay, I have an idea. I'm really inspired by, let's say, these three bands, this band, this band, this band, and I kind of want to combine those bands and I want to make something and see if I can have something that sounds that like people could go, oh, I think this guy's going for this, right? Every time I've ever done that, it has sounded nothing like the stuff that I thought it was going to sound like when I wrote it. And I say that to say that, like, yeah, you're not going to be able to know what your stuff sounds like until you've either written it, all recorded it, and then you can like play it and listen to it from a different angle and go, oh shit, that does not sound like what I thought it sounded like. Because when you're, when you're writing things, you'll hear like little bitty nuances in a even like a riff. Like that one riff will sound very, let's say, Screeching Weasel-esque, right? But when you put it in a whole song, you're like, oh, it just sounds like a punk song. It doesn't really sound like Screeching Weasel. But you heard a Screeching Weasel song or an album that really inspired you, and that's what you went there to accomplish. It's music is weird, man. It's very
well, that's what I love when somebody says like, oh, that song reminds me, or it has a vibe of this or a vibe of that. It's like, oh yeah, I get it now. I hear that. Like I didn't catch that before. And I'm not just talking about my own music in general. It's just like any music. Someone will say, hey, you ever hear that song? Or you're playing a song and like, oh, it kind of sounds like this, or that riff reminds me of this. But yeah, I mean, that's what's so fun about music. And that's what I love about covering other people's music is like, there's one thing that I don't like about people that cover certain songs is like when a band takes a piece of music and covers it and it sounds exactly the same. To me, I'm like, I'd rather just listen to the original record. Why would I listen to you doing it? Unless you've got like some really like let's say like Fat Mike. I mean, he's got a really unique voice. Or like
right.
you've got Nick Blanco from Rudimentary Peni like doing something. It's like those are very unique voices. And okay, I get that. But for me, I think like recreating the whole song, like really doing something special to it, that's the fun in it. That's the exciting part of it.
Well, I actually have like the perfect example of exactly what you're just saying. And I think I fall on the other side. I think I like it when a band covers the song. And I'm like, how good can they play this? Can they really play it as well as the original band? And if you take a song like Halloween, you have AFI, who I think did it better than the Misfits did. But then you also have Alkaline Trio, who did it completely. Have you heard any of those? I assume you heard the Misfits version, right?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, the Misfits, one of my favorite bands. AFI, of course, too. I've heard that one.
Okay.
Too.
Have you not heard the Alkaline Trio?
No. I'm going to check it out, though, now that you mentioned it.
I want to set your expectations for you because it is, when I heard it, I was like, what the fuck? Like now, after hearing it a couple times, getting kind of used to the sound, I really appreciate it. I genuinely kind of love it, actually. It's slow, and if I'm not mistaken, it might only have a piano in it. It might be an acoustic guitar too, I think, but it's very, very slow and dark and brooding, and it's not like the none of that shit's in there, bro. It's interesting. When I first heard it, I was completely caught off guard. But
I'm gonna have to look that up for sure.
Yeah, and I think I like a little bit of both, if I was to be honest about it. But you got bands like Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, and they basically do their interpretation of the exact same song, right? Like they don't stray too far off the beaten path with everything. Every now and then they will, but it's really just a plugged in, faster version of whatever it is they're covering. If it's a pop song, it'll be guitars instead of a synthesizer, I guess. But like stuff like that, I don't know. What do you consider that? Do you consider that making it real different?
I mean, yeah, if you're putting your own spin on it, like if the band is a specific sounding band and they're putting their own spin on it, I mean, but then again, I mean, you have like for instance, I'm sure you checked out the Danzig Sings Elvis record.
Yes.
So I actually saw that in concert. I went to
oh wow.
I went to Las Vegas to go see that at the what was the one they just tore down, the Tropicana.
Okay, yeah. That's crazy.
I was like, I got to go see Danzig at the Tropicana doing it. But so he didn't really veer far from those like original songs. And part of me is like, let's just go listen to Elvis do it. But it's Danzig and he's got a very unique voice. I'm going back to like that unique, like you've got like that uniqueness about you that makes the whole difference. So in a sense, even just changing synth to guitar, I mean, that's already, you're putting your own spin on something.
Yeah, that is a pretty big difference, I guess. Yeah. I like cover songs. I think two of my favorite cover songs of all time, like as far as like punk bands covering something that wasn't punk rock. Have you ever heard the H2O version of Madonna's Like a Prayer?
No.
fuck, dude. It's like the original cover song that I heard and was like, yo, that's far better than the original. Now, pop fans would argue that, and Madonna's an icon, but dude, that H2O version is amazing. And then that band, The Unseen, they covered two songs. They did Michael Jackson's Beat It, and they did Every Rose Has Its Thorn. And those are both like shockingly good, shitty covers of like popular songs. It was awesome. But like
every song you just mentioned right now is a very unique choice to cover.
I know, right? Like especially for a punk band. Yeah, dude, if I had to cover some songs, I don't know what the fuck I'd cover. It'd have to be, dude. Do you know who that girl Robyn is? Robyn. She's like a pop star from like the early 2000s. Dude, so my friend Ryan's in a band called Liberty and Justice, and they covered a song called I think it's called Dance With Me. And when I first heard it, I was like listening to it, and I was like, why did he write a song like this? And I was like listening to it, and I was like, man, it sounds so familiar. And then when it just like clicked, and I was like, oh shit, this is that girl Robyn. And it's interesting because he's got a very like gargled, deep, throaty voice, and it's like this. Yeah. Anyways, I love that kind of stuff, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to pick a song to cover. I have such a hard time because I'm like, if I can't do it better than the original or put my own spin on it, that's gonna make because I have a high standard of cover songs, and so for me, I'm like, there's certain songs like that. I'm like, you can't touch that. You can't cover.
Oh, there are definitely some songs you should not cover.
Yeah, it's like, why? Don't do it. Just leave it alone. It's perfect. Walk away.
Like Bohemian Rhapsody would be one that I would tell people, don't do that. Why are you doing that?
That'd be a very unique punk cover for sure.
Oh my god, if a punk band covered it, it would probably be 2 minutes long and awful. Honestly, I kind of want to hear that.
That would be pretty funny, man.
What are some epic songs you'd like to cover if you had like carte blanche, you go to the studio? We might have that already, but if you could just spend all day in there recording some cover songs and perfecting it, are there any out there that you really would like to cover?
That's a tough one for me, man. That's very tough. I feel like I have an idea of songs that I'm going to cover in the future. I've covered stuff in the past. On the EP I put out, I covered a more obscure Tom Petty song that not too many people are familiar with. I like things that people won't necessarily think to do or think like do it in this genre or that genre. You know what I mean? Like, dude, like I could take any punk song from any punk band, and if I cover a Misfits song, you're not gonna be like, "Whoa, that was fucking unique." This guy's over here covering a Misfits song, and I'm not shitting on anyone who did cover a Misfits song. I'm just saying, like,
there's whole bands that's all they do.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, I like to think, pick something that's just unique and like in my mind, I'm like, maybe I'll cover some David Bowie, or maybe I'll cover like Morrissey.
No, there you go. That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Is like, what kind of stuff is that? Would you want to tackle? Like, do you have trying to do some Morrissey and like the style that you play would be tough.
I mean,
I would be interested to hear that.
I would have a hard time picking a song that I think I could do justice to, and I love the Smiths. I love Morrissey. I mean, that'd be a tough one, and to make it something that I would listen to, because I mean, I've heard people cover Morrissey, and I'm kind of critical with that. I'm like, like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's one singer. If you're going to cover Morrissey just like Morrissey or a Smith song that sounds exactly the same, I'm like, I'm going to go listen to the record. Why listen to
for you? Sure, absolutely, especially an artist like that.
That's where I have like, it's hard for me to try to figure out the right song to do. Like the Tom Petty song just came to me. I was in my backyard barbecuing, and I had a playlist going of a bunch of stuff I like to listen to. The song's playing, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a cool song. It's like, and it's a song that I've liked for many different reasons. And I just, the chorus line always reminds me of my daughter. And I'm like, it's a cool song. It's got a good vibe to it. And so song's playing, and I'm listening to it, and I'm grilling, and I'm like, dude, that's a punk song. Like that, the riffs, he's playing it in chords and stuff, and like, very campfire acoustic kind of style.
Right.
But I'm like, that's, you take those chords and play them as power chords. That's a punk song. And so I just grabbed my guitar and started jamming the chords and kind of converting them into power chords, and like, boom, this is where the stop should be. And there should be like a little bass piece in there, and like really kind of just started playing with it. And I'm like, oh yeah, Like we're doing this. Like this is happening.
That's on the EP, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What song was it?
It's called Walls. It's a Tom Petty song that's it's not, when you think of Tom Petty, it's not the songs that you'll think of like
Right.
that come to head, come to your head right away. But it's a cool song. It's got a cool vibe. There's a couple different versions of it that Tom Petty did. Like there's one that's called like Circus in parentheses or something, and it's just got a bunch of weird vocals in there and like random like stuff happening in there. That's a fun version for sure. It's a pretty cool video on YouTube that's with that version of the song too.
I like Tom Petty. He had a band before Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I can't remember what it was called, but I was just introduced to it. Do you know his original band?
I don't. That's actually kind of new for me. I'm a huge Tom Petty fan, but I'm not one of those trivia guys that kind of go chase down
See, I'm not either. I was hanging out with a friend who's a musical, dude, the guy's Mudcrutch is what it was called.
Okay.
I was hanging out with a buddy of mine, Chris Klink, dude. He's got a wealth of knowledge, man. That's the homie right there. But he showed it to me. We were at a record store. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is Tom Petty's original band." I was like, "What?" So I immediately was like, "Let me write that down."
That must have been like 60s or early 70s or something.
Yeah, it's
like that.
pretty old. It was pretty old. If I was going to cover a bunch of stuff, I would cover a bunch of country songs that I don't really like, but I would like them if they were like rock and roll.
Make them palatable. I like that.
Yeah, I would just take a bunch of country songs that like maybe the content is what I like, or maybe just the lyrics in general or something that I gravitate towards, or maybe the melody is like kind of pleasing to my ear, but I don't like it with the twang of the country or whatever, or maybe just a specific artist that I don't like or something. Because I mean, every artist out there that is popular has got to have at least one song that I would like. That it's insane for somebody to say, I don't like any Ariana Grande songs. Well, have you heard all of them? Well, no. Then how do you know? Because I didn't think I would like Lady Gaga, but I do. Like, I didn't think I would like Adele. I love that woman's voice, dude. Like, so don't be closed-minded is my point. But I would love to take a bunch of songs that maybe I'm on the verge of liking, but I don't really. And then, because I grew up with a redneck for a dad, driving around in a 77 Camaro, listening to nothing but redneck music. And so there's a lot of the songs that I have like fond memories of, but I'm still like, I don't really like that pop country shit. And so, take it and dirty it up a little bit. I'll probably like it. Okay.
Like some Hank 3 or something like that.
Oh no, I mean, I'm talking like George Strait and shit. Like there's like Hank 3. I'll listen to. Well,
no, I'm saying like make it more like punk country.
No,
like
I'll make it. No, I'll make it straight up like fucking Rancid. Like I'll make it sound like a punk rock song. Like fucking
nice.
But like, I don't think I could sing it like the way Hank 3 sings. Man, he sings too much with too clean of a vocal style because he's got more confidence than I ever will. So I wouldn't even attempt that. I imagine some people would find his vocals to be like good, but I would say that they're kind of objectively bad, honestly.
I think it works for what he does. I think
no, that's kind of my point. Is it does work.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to try that. I wouldn't have the confidence to even attempt it. He's got that other metal band too, and like he does all. He's very talented.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Bob Dylan's got a bad voice, quote unquote. I like Bob Dylan too. So I mean, subjective, or how do I say this?
So did Leonard Cohen, and
there's a lot of popular people that have bad voices, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's subjective. Music is just subjective. It's like,
right.
You know what I mean? If to your ear it might sound good, to my ear it might sound bad, and that's just let's. I
guess that's kind of my point. It's like classically bad, classically good. Like, how do I say this? When I say objectively bad, I don't mean that it sucks. I just mean like that when you hear it, it's just not what you think of as like there is a template for a good vocal style that is like that would just be good. It would be successful if it wrote albums. Bob Dylan doesn't fall into that. It's more like outside the lines type vocals. And, a lot of punk bands have voices like that. I mean, listen to somebody like Dwayne Peters from US Bombs. That guy shouldn't be anywhere near a microphone, but I love it. Like, I love his vocals. Actually, my friend Chris I was just talking about, he would say that his vocal style is not very good. I really like his voice. It's amazing to me. And then you have people like Matt Skiba who can really sing quite well, So Glenn Danzig, he can't sing worth a shit. People love his band, That guy's vocals. I don't know. You like his voice?
I love Danzig. I love his voice. I love everything about him. A huge fan for sure.
I do too. Well, I don't know if I like him personally very much, but like his music and stuff, absolutely. But he doesn't really sing good, is my point. Like I don't know if that's making any sense, but like good doesn't really matter when you're
I mean,
listening to the music.
his voice has definitely changed over the years, but I don't know.
Yes,
It's like your voice is naturally going to change. I mean, it happens to
right.
all musicians. I think like Steven Tyler just he just retired last year because he's
Crazy,
got
dude.
voice issues, and I mean,
Really?
yeah, it's I mean your voice. I mean, shit, I've had voice issues. I
Well,
lost a ton of range with my voice issues.
no shit.
Yeah, I
That's gotta
had
be
way
scary.
more range. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be able to sing anymore. To be honest, I thought it was done.
Oh my
Yeah, I mean,
goodness.
yeah, I thought it was done, and I kind of I faced that and said, this was just this is it. This is moving forward. Like there's nothing I can do about it. So I don't know. I'm not super critical when I see like older musicians that are still performing, and I mean, okay, maybe Vince Neil needs to hang it up. Like that's a
Well,
rough one.
let me be very clear. I wasn't trying to be necessarily critical. I was just trying to make a point. I like Danzig's voice. I listen to Misfits. I like the Danzig stuff. I like Misfits. Uh, my point wasn't that I didn't like it. It's just that the general public would go, yeah, that's not like it's not. What's the word? There's a word for this. It's typical of a good voice, right? But it still works. Is my point. And I don't want to sit here and bag on Danzig. I don't care. I'm a Misfits fan. But
Yeah, I think that's what's so great though about like again about just music being subjective is like and especially with punk, it's like you don't have to have like all this different octave range, and you don't have to have the best voice in the world. If you write from the heart and you write good music, and the songs people can relate to, and it's just coming straight from the heart, like that's for me is the true thing. I could care
right.
less about you know somebody having that perfect voice, but I get where you're going with that. Is like subjectively, yeah, a lot of this shit is bad, but sometimes it's so bad it's fucking good.
Well, that's kind of the point with punk rock musicians is like, maybe not the point, but it's I would say one of the pros to punk rock is that just about anybody can get up and do it if you have the courage to get up and do it. And everybody that does it, there's going to be somebody that likes it. There's bands that have 2 fans, there's bands that have 20 million fans. They range all kinds of sounds, and like you said earlier, not everybody's going to like everything anyways. Uh, but yeah, man, I like atypical singing voices. I like scratchy, whiskey soaked is what I've always called it.
Yeah,
Like Lars Fredrikson's voice, how it's got that like rasp to it.
he's
I
got a
like
great
that.
voice.
Oh, I love his voice, man. If I could make my voice sound like anybody's, it'd probably be his. I would be in a band right. I'd be at practice right the fuck now, bro. I would love that shit.
The contrast of him and Tim is just works so well together.
Yes.
I
And
just
look,
I love their like back and forth duo vocals. They're just so great.
I give Matt Freeman a ton of hell for his voice on some of the songs, but dude, I love Matt Freeman, man. That guy's a hero of mine. Yeah, dude. Yeah, those 2 guys. You know what's funny is when I was a young kid, like maybe 14, the first few times that I heard Rancid, I couldn't tell that there was 2 singers. Isn't that weird? Like I listen to it now, I'm like, how the fuck could I not tell that? But I've also showed punk rock music to people that were young that couldn't tell, because if you're not trained to hear it, to you it just kind of all sounds almost like noise, like it's just because it's loud, it's abrasive, it's got a lot of chaos in it,
And it's not like it's not like crazy to say that one person could potentially do those vocals, both.
Right, right, right.
It's
Well, the 2, sorry.
no, I was going to say like I'm sure like there's certain vocalists out there that could potentially contrast between those. I mean, there's a lot of vocalists that can really hit different ranges and different styles and all types of genres.
Well, the stuff that people are able to do with their voice now is remarkable. Like it's like, let's just be very clear about that. It's insane. What's that band that Lorna Shore? That guy's what the fuck is that dude doing with his voice? Like I mean, I don't listen to it all the time, but it's incredible. Like I can't look at that and go, oh, that's terrible. That's no talent. He's just screaming. No, dude, that's something different, man. That guy's not just screaming.
It's cool because a lot of people that normally probably wouldn't be into that are into that, and that's
Right.
what I like. I like to see Like same with Knocked Loose. It's like it's not for me. I mean, that's a very unique vocal style. I'm not.
I
I'm
agree.
not. I'm not gonna shit on it because it's cool that like they've come so far and like just bringing what they're bringing more to like mainstream. Like
Yes,
that's cool. I think that's great. I mean, bring it,
dude.
bring it. You know, like
That
let's bring that shit.
oh, I don't have to like something to want to prop it up. That's kind of the thing that people don't understand about me is like I have a problem with like bucking the system. So when people tell me I need to like something, I just naturally don't want to. But in general, if something's just cool, then I don't care if I like it or not, man. Or somebody's doing something that they really want to do. Why would I not want them to do it? So the fact that Knock Loose is so big is kind of crazy, man. Like it's admirable from like a perspective of looking at their audience and being like, damn, I'm surprised. Like you said, I'm surprised so many people like such a heavy band. I mean, they're heavy. I don't even consider when people ask me like, "Oh, you like hardcore?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "Oh, you like Knocked Loose?" I'm like, "Dude, they're just a metal band to me. I don't consider that hardcore." But I mean, whatever. I don't give a shit either. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But they're so damn heavy, bro. I'm surprised they're as big as they are. The same
Well,
with Lorna Shore.
they were like on
Lorna Shore.
Jimmy Kimmel recently, right? Like,
That's fucking ridiculous, dude.
I mean, dude, that's you got to give like credit, props, kudos, whatever you fuck you want to call it. I mean, that's cool. I mean, again, bringing it, you know, making more people aware, bringing it more to the mainstream is like that's good for every hardcore, for punk, for metal, for everything. I mean, that's just good for music, guitar driven, drum
Yes.
music in general. And
Well,
I love it. I think it's great.
guitar driven music is I don't want to say it's on life support, but it's definitely like in the ER getting checked up on. Like, you doing okay, buddy? Like, it's punk rock's never going to go anywhere because there's too many people that are pissed off. It's just going to stay. It's going to exist. Now, how big will it exist? I kind of like where it's at right now. We're somewhere in between the like 80s and then that 90s explosion. We're like in the middle of that right now. But there's some popular bands that can be considered punk or pop punk or whatever you want to call it. And then there's a healthy underground punk rock scene right now, and I really like it. I don't ever want it to be as big as it was in the late 90s again. And I mean, who knows? I can't stop it. So if it gets that big, it gets that big. But I like to still have things that are kind of like ours. It's so dumb. I really want every band that can make $1 billion to make the $1 billion.
Well, I went to the last. It wasn't the last, but it was a Saturday show, the No Effects Punk and Drublic, and like just seeing that many people out there supporting that music, you know, that bill, that whole lineup. I mean, the Descendants fucking killed it. It was amazing. It was great. But just seeing that many people out there, like,
right.
I mean, there was like love in the air. Everybody was just happy to be there. It was like that was pretty surreal. I was actually really happy to see that, especially because in LA and this part of California, there's not that big of shows that really happen like that, like these
Really?
big festival shows. No, we have a lot of clubs and we have a lot of venues and stuff, but bigger festivals, we don't get too many of those. And so getting something like that, especially out in San Pedro, like right on the Berth 46 on the dock, I mean, that was kind of cool because like that's an area I've visited a lot because just growing up in LA. And so I thought that was pretty awesome that they chose that spot to do that festival, and it was jam packed.
Dude, the No Effects last tour thing was crazy. I was at their Dallas show, and it was like I was this close to not going, and I was like, I can't miss this. And then I got there, and I didn't think I would get like emotional at all, but I did, man. I wasn't like crying or anything, but I was definitely like in my feels, bro. And like I notoriously do not like The Decline. And even when that song was getting played, I was like, oh shit, this is kind of amazing. I'll never see this again, probably. I was like, I gotta pay attention, be here, be in this. Uh yeah,
I
man.
was so close to not going too, and I did the same thing. I was like, I can't miss this. Like I've got to go, got to do it. That was such a fun show.
Dude, I just got into the Descendants like a year ago, man. Like I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, it's a long story that I've told a bunch of times, so I'm not going to go into it. But for a long while, I just didn't get it, and then I watched a documentary, and some things switched, and then I went and saw them play, and I've become a fairly big fan at this point. But they were very good live, even now. in my opinion. They're very
That's
good. Bill Stevenson's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, Bill's amazing, man. I've actually had the privilege of sharing some emails with him, and he's a
Oh
really
no
solid guy.
shit.
Yeah, I was trying to get him to work on my EP.
Yeah.
He was good. We talked about it. We bounced some tracks over to him, and he checked them out, and was trying to find like the right time for him to make himself available to do it. And it almost
Right.
happened, but I had a deadline that I had to meet with the record label to get the
Damn.
music out. So I was like, I gotta focus on getting this music out. And I didn't have the time for that. But there's an opportunity that's still open for future.
Yeah, I hope that materializes. That'd be amazing, man.
Oh man, and just because I've like Descendants is the band, one of the bands that I listened to growing up like religiously. Like that was just
Okay.
as a kid, that was it for me. I just it was crazy just to be like emailing with Bill and like just normal conversations back and forth. And I'm like, dude, this is great. This is awesome. And he said some really nice things about two of the tracks that I sent him.
Nice.
And there was like a momentum building, like, oh, like, can we make it work? And it was like, okay, we'll revisit this later at this point. So hopefully that works out at some point.
Oh, dude, if it will, man. I have a feeling it will, man. That things like that seem to work themselves out pretty well. I mean, I've had things that I'd never in my wildest dreams thought would come true that just happened. I mean, I've had Lars Fredrickson call me on the phone at my comic book shop to ask me questions about a card game. Like, what the fuck?
Crazy,
I went to LA and interviewed Jesse Michaels. Like, that was like, what? So yeah, you'll get there, man. That's awesome. Yeah, but dude, that guy's I had more fun watching him play drums probably than I've ever had watching a drummer, except maybe my friend Pete Sosa. He's my favorite drummer, but like watching that guy play was incredible because he's like robotic.
He's a beast. He's a beast on drums.
It was fun as hell to watch.
But he's also just an amazing songwriter too. Like the fact that he writes a lot of the Descendants music is it's like, wow, he's definitely a really amazing musician.
What's your favorite Descendants album, or do you have one?
Man, I mean, I'd like to say that's hard, but Milo Goes to College is definitely. I mean, that's one of those records like that's like you could play through without skipping one track. There's very few bands that could put that out. Like I think an Out Come the Wolves, Rancid's record is that same record, as you can play it from beginning to end and never need to skip a track.
That's my favorite record of all time.
Oh, is it?
Yes, without like there's not even like a yeah.
What's your favorite song on that record?
Journey to the End of East Bay.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah, and then Old Friend is right behind that.
I think Junkie Man for me.
That's the only song that I don't listen to on their whole record.
Really? Wow. I love that song. There's just something about it. It hits me.
I don't skip it, but like if it's on a playlist, I typically take it off. Like if I'm listening to the record, I just listen to the whole record. But if I have if I'm building a playlist, it's the only song that I just take off. I don't know why. It seems to be a fairly popular song, and I heard somewhere, I think it might be Lars's like favorite song or some shit. I don't know, man. And when I got a tape, hold on, I'll show it to you. Sorry, I got this cassette tape. My wife bought it for me a while back, and it's like a demo tape from when Out Come the Wolves came out.
Oh, sick!
And it's got 4 songs on it. It's got Ruby Soho, Time Bomb, Roots Radicals, and freaking Junkie Man. And I always thought it was so strange that it had Junkie Man on there. So it probably is a favorite of one of theirs. Or I heard it was Lars, like one of his favorites or something. So, what is it about that song you really enjoy?
You know what? Just a lot of it has to do with Tim's vocals on that song.
Okay,
really fun. The verses are just really like, I don't know. There's just some energy to it, and I mean, just the way it starts. I mean, everything about it. It's such a fun song. It's like when I hear that song, I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's just like a song that I can just jam with. But again, that for me, it's that whole record. I don't skip through anything on that one.
Yeah, I genuinely sorry. Sitting in frame. I don't skip songs on that record either. And I literally have to nitpick to find a song like that where I go, if I had to rank them, it would just be at the end of my rankings list. But
everything else that you named that was on that cassette tape, those ones were played like crazy with like KROQ and out here in the 90s and stuff. And And that stuff was just the rest of those three. Junkie Man wasn't for some reason.
We didn't have any of that stuff on the radio out here. I heard Time Bomb one time on the radio. It's actually the one time I heard it is what got me into punk rock. Like that one song changed my entire life. So I have a soft spot for Time Bomb. As a matter of fact, let me pull up the track listing. I have a head injury and I have a really bad short-term memory. So if I ask you questions about things that I've already discussed with you or things that you're pretty sure I already know, just understand that it's nothing I can do about it, man. I got a stupid ass head. Let's see. There's a couple other songs. There's one that a lot of people don't like a lot. It's man, what is it called? Which one is it? Why can I never remember it? Oh, Dally City Train. I love that song. And people are always like, I don't like that one at all. I'm like, that's interesting. I love that song. And I also like the last couple of songs. The Way I Feel is a really good song. And that's one that people notoriously do not like. Which, I don't know. The whole record's pretty great to me. So,
yeah, I think that one features Lars a lot, which is cool because it gives a lot of his, that grittiness that you're talking about with Lars, which is cool. I actually love his voice. So, I don't know there's like, what did you think? Did you like the new record that came out? Like,
love it.
2 years ago now.
Yeah, love it. Fucking love it. I listened to it yesterday. My second favorite Rancid record, very unpopular opinion, by the way, is Troublemaker. It's I love that record so much. Now, I don't know that I would call it their second best record. It's just my second favorite record. Like, their second best is probably Let's Go. But if I go based on what do I listen to the most, I listen to Troublemaker the most, and then probably Out Come the Wolves is by far the most listened to record that I own. But Troublemaker, and then it'd probably be Indestructible after that.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, all the records are great, man. Even Rancid 5, it's turning 25 years old this year, and I'm going to do a video because I really don't care for that record. But there's like within that recording session, there's like a good EP in there. I'm going to basically build the EP and make a video about it. Just probably get shit on by the whole entire audience, but whatever. It is what it is, man. It comes with the territory.
Well, going back to the Descendants, we were just talking about them. Since you just got into them more recent, like, is there a favorite of yours, like a song or a record?
No, let me pull up their discography real quick because there's a point where I don't go. I have like an era of their music. Hold on one second. Yes, baby. Oh, thank you, sweetie.
These are outside.
Oh, thank you.
I'm putting them on top of you.
Cool. I appreciate it. I love you. What's up, Jojo? Sorry, daughter, bringing in some mail. There's an era of Descendant stuff that I really enjoy. And I think one of the reasons why I didn't get into them, I don't know why I said I think. I know one of the reasons why is because my first time I ever bought a Descendant CD, I was just told, like, hey, you should check these guys out. You like a bunch of this kind of music, you'll probably like them. I bought Summary because it's the only one available. And I, to this day, I still don't like that record. Is that a compilation? Am I tripping?
Yeah, I believe it is a compilation. That's like the green one, right? I used to have it on a cassette when I was a kid. I don't own that record at this point.
I don't care for it much. So actually all their stuff, everything, all their 90s stuff is Everything Sucks, Milo Goes to College. But I really liked their latest one, Ninth and Walnut? I really like that album. But I'm a newer fan. So like I don't have like an era where I go, I only like stuff up to this point because I just started listening to them. So yeah, man, I really do appreciate their music now. It's interesting.
That really, like, just you mentioned like how Rancid saved your life and that music meant a lot to you. As Descendants kind of like and like I'd say Ramones as well, is like those two bands for me, like because I went through I almost basically lost my voice. I had to have a crazy surgery, 2 surgeries in 2022. And
that I think you told me before.
Yeah, that like just Descendants, just listening to them, just really diving into just all their music, and it's just like stuff that I grew up with and stuff that I've always loved. Just it was comforting. It was nice, and same with the Ramones. Is for me, it's like the same. It's kind of got me out of a funk when I was feeling like depression and just fucking anxiety and all this shit, and I think music is a great therapeutic medicine for sure.
Oh, dude, like 1000%. That's, I think punk rock is therapeutic, like specifically that genre. I know a lot of people that, well, I mean, most punk rockers that I know have gone through so much in their lives, and that's kind of why they gravitate towards it, I guess. Because it's an everyman's music. It's a storytelling. Uh, Thank you, baby. It's a storytelling. I don't know, man. It's like a hard luck story, but put to music, man. The punk rock is all about, you know, like freedom, rebellion, standing up. It's got a bunch of little subcategories, but it's a freedom music, man. It's a
And this is why, and I'm probably going to get shit on for this one too, but this is why I feel like there's such a relation to like folk music and like folk rock with punk. It's there's so much a connection and like I don't know if you ever listen to folk, but folk is there's so it's storytelling. It's shit that we can relate to. It's from the heart, and punk has that. It's the same. It's the same stories with more aggression.
I love folk punk specifically, which has led me to listening to some more folk music. I don't have a lot of knowledge on the genre. I just started listening to Bob Dylan recently. I like Timothy Chalamet a lot as an actor, and when he got that role as Bob Dylan, I was really impressed by that. And so,
I'll have to check that out. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, and I like Pat the Bunny a lot, and his music sounds like he's like my Bob Dylan. Like his music reminds me of it. It's very philosophical, but it's not the same. It's not exactly the same, but it's very. You ever heard Pat the Bunny stuff? Wingnut Dishwashers Union?
No, I got to check that out.
Bro, I'll send you a couple of bands just to, if you get time to listen to them. You'll understand what I'm saying when you listen to it. Folk punk music is great, and the only reason it's even called folk punk and not just folk is because the people that make it. If it wasn't for them looking the way they look, it would probably just be folk music. And I think it probably is just folk music. But yeah, it's a long answer to say I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I got to check that out. Now I'm intrigued for sure.
Have you ever listened to like Days and Days or anything?
No.
Oh man, I'm about to open up a door for you, buddy. Oh, this shit, there's a lot of it too, and there's a lot of different kinds. There's a whole queer folk movement. There's like a whole like there's a lot of female fronted folk punk musicians. There's a lot of train hopping shit. There's so much of it.
Is it upbeat or is it more mundane and like folk rock?
All over the map, dude. Depends on the artist. The stuff I tend to gravitate towards is a little more upbeat.
Yeah. Same. I like more of the upbeat vibe stuff, but I'm open to anything. I don't say no to anything unless I actually sit down and go through at least one or two records. Like got to go through at least one or two records because you don't really know a sound until you hear.
Correct. Yeah. No, I think I could probably give you a few that you'd be interested in. I've never really been a big fan of the Beatles. That's not really my jam. People still like them so much, man. It's wild to me.
I think the Beatles for me had like there's elements and like different like early on they were so bubblegum and I want to hold your hand and all this, Mr. Postman and all that stuff. To me it was I could never get into that. But later on as they got more into probably psychedelics and whatnot and probably started stop trying to be this wholesome band and let their hair grow out and like there's some pretty good songs like the album Revolver. There's some really cool stuff on that album.
Well, like I said earlier, there's not a band out there that I don't like anything from their catalog, and they have an extensive catalog. So they've got a few songs that I enjoy, but just like as a rule of thumb, I'm not a big fan of their music. But I mean, here's the thing: is that I grew up not having any guidance for music, and so I discovered what I discovered, how I discovered it, and so even within punk rock, in 2024 is when I started listening to like pre-1992 punk. Like I always liked the Sex Pistols, I always liked the Ramones, I liked Motorhead, but like I never liked the Clash, I never liked the Damned. I like the Germs. So there's a fair amount of it, Minor Threat, the stuff like that. But like by and large, I didn't listen to old classic stuff. I didn't like it much. And this last year, I discovered that I just never heard the first two Clash albums. I had never even heard them. I just got London Calling and the Combat Rock and Sandinista, all these albums that were given to me, and I just didn't like them. I didn't understand them. And then when I first heard Give Enough Rope, it like clicked. Like it was the weirdest thing. It was like a literal switch went off my head. Boop. Oh shit. this is exactly the kind of music you listen to. It was so weird, man. I've been trying to listen to The Damned. I don't really care for them much, but I'm trying to like simmer in it a little bit and like try to understand it. And maybe if I don't like it, that's fine after that. But I don't want to be like, heard it once, don't like it, and move on, because I've done that too many times and regretted it. So
I was like that with Elvis for the longest time. I didn't get it. I'm like, why do people like Elvis so much? Like, it's
because it's
just,
fucking awesome.
I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't want to like it. And I just kind of like one day I was like, I'm gonna go through a bunch of Elvis stuff and listen to it. And I started to get it. When you get to certain songs and you're like, okay, I understand now. You get through all the ones that you normally hear that they play over and over on radio
Yeah.
stations and stuff, and you get through that stuff that's kind of like, and then there's like, oh, there's a catalog here of some really cool stuff that's kind of maybe sometimes like not as featured.
Right.
But yeah, that like now I can stomach all of it. But before it was kind of, I had a hard time. I'm like, I don't want to dislike Elvis. Like for some reason I want to like it, I want to like him.
He's got a lot of good hits, but he's got a lot of good deep cuts too. What are some of your songs? Are there any that stand out to you?
Oh man. I mean, like, okay. So for me, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'd say Can't Help Falling in Love. Okay. That's like one that they play a lot and you hear it a lot.
But it's a beautiful song.
I always that song drove me crazy all the time. And then you really like listen to it and you're like, okay, this is kind of like, it's a tender song. It's from the heart. It's good. I can't take and I don't even know the name of it. The one that South Park marooned for me was the In the Ghetto. The Cartman used to sing that. Like I have to skip that song. I can't with that one.
Yeah.
But there's one that's kind of more obscure, and I don't know. He didn't write a lot of his own music.
I was going to bring that up in a minute, but yeah.
So I was trying to think of the ones that he actually wrote. I don't know if he wrote this one, but there's like I think it's called "Mother Love the Roses" or something like that, or that's like what he sang in the song. Such a really cool song. And part of why like a lot of his stuff that I couldn't get into it was because he didn't write it, and I was kind of biased because of that. I'm like, like, did he really create this stuff? But when you go back and listen to what he did to songs that he did cover, or, he did create.
Well, there's a big line that you got to think about there, though. Most of these pop artists aren't writing their music, and he's a pop artist. And so I think that he was in a very unfortunate situation because he was given these songs that were Black songs, and he made them very popular and famous, and the credit wasn't given to these artists that had created this music. So that's a whole different argument. But he was a wonderful entertainer and a wonderful singer. He wasn't necessarily the best songwriter. He wrote some good music. I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm saying like his big songs, those weren't his songs.
Yeah.
He was an entertainer. He was a singer, and it's like, I'm okay with that. I do think that there should be credit given where it's due. I can't go back and change history, though. I didn't do all that. I was not involved in any of that. But
one of his last shows, he played Unchained Melody, and he was like playing the piano. I don't know if you've ever seen that live video. It's
no, but I kind of want to now.
It's insane. It's like you could really see there's like, okay, this guy's fucking talented. Like this, it's just insane. Like his voice, the passion, like you could see it in he's sweating and he's just like really into it. And I'm like, yeah, that's passion right there. Like
he was definitely passionate. That is 100% true. I think that he gave back to the Black community a lot more than people want to admit. And it's just a shit situation all around. I don't have all the knowledge on it either, so I'm not gonna act like I do, but I know a little bit. And I think he was all about that life, man. And he was very passionate. He was very troubled too, Most really great musicians are, though.
He actually covered a Bob Dylan song. I think it's "It Ain't Me, Babe." I believe I want to say that's truly a Bob Dylan song that he covered, and it was actually kind of a cool version because it's a little faster and a little more like almost has like a bit of a maybe like a country vibe or something. I don't know. It's pretty.
A lot of his stuff had a country vibe.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I like if you go back and you go look at, I don't know, 60s, 70s, and 80s music, Go back and look at who wrote a bunch of the popular songs, and it's like just this like core group of musicians that wrote a bunch of it. Not all of it, but like a very large amount of it. Bob Dylan's written a lot of songs, dude, that are like really famous. I always like to find out stuff like that. Tim Armstrong is one of those kind of guys. He writes stuff that you're like, he wrote something in that. He did that fucking song that Pink made that got a Grammy from it. Like, it's just the most insane shit, dude. Like, what?
Yeah, he's done some pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cool that like he's involved in so much in the punk world.
Dude, he's a musician to his bones, bro.
Yeah, I'd love to work with him someday, man. That dream come true.
Yes, bro. Yes. Have you heard his Tim Time Bomb stuff?
I haven't got too into all that stuff, but I've heard a couple of tracks.
It's weird.
Yeah. I mean, he's notorious for, I think, doing some weird stuff on the side of Rancid. That's for sure. Like even working with like the Interrupters. Like for some reason, when I first heard the Interrupters, I had no idea that he was involved with them, like producing them and working with them. And I'm like, wow, this sounds a lot like Rancid. Like, what does Tim think of this? What does Lars think of this? And to find out they're involved in it, it's like, oh, I get why that sound is there. There's
right.
a specific sound to a lot of their stuff. And I mean, maybe I'm naive and it's just a ska sound because I'm not a big ska guy.
No, it's a Tim Armstrong sound.
I think so.
No, it is. It because you can hear it through like 6 different bands, and all of those bands have something to do with him. All of them.
Yeah, not surprised.
I was in my bedroom. I don't know how many years ago this was. I mean, maybe 10. And I'm listening to something, or I'm watching I think I might have been watching a baseball game or something. Back then I gambled a lot for my job. And a T-Mobile commercial comes on. That song, like Fight the Power or whatever, or Bring Back the Power, whatever it's called. It comes on, and I'd never heard it before. And I go running in the kitchen. I tell my wife, I'm like, dude, I don't know who this is, but there's this band, and it sounds like Rancid. And I got a feeling that they got something to do with those guys. I don't know who it is, though. And it took me forever to figure out who it was. And then when I found out who it was, I go running back in there later and tell my wife, yeah, they're on Hellcat. It's fucking this band called The Interrupters. And that was the first show my wife ever saw. She was, she wasn't in the punk scene and stuff. So
I'm not crazy into their catalog either, but that song is a really, really solid song.
So I did a whole video talking about them because there's this like weird thing about how they're a, plant, industry plant type band because Tim Armstrong. But if you really go look into what happened, that's not really the truth at all. People just don't like them because they're popular, and that's why people don't like them. Because punks are fucking pretentious and shitty sometimes. And dude, their music's good, man. It's fucking good. And that young lady is a great singer, and those brothers are fucking amazing musicians. Those guys are in a whole bunch of that Tim Armstrong or Tim Time Bomb stuff, or at least the younger one is the shorter one. He might actually be the older one, but yeah, I love that shit, man. That Tim Time Bomb stuff is very folky. A lot of weird like Louisiana songs that he covers. Fucking such a strange, interesting fellow. I'd love to talk to him one day.
So I got to see. Tim did a Cretan Commandos as they go by, and he went and did like a Johnny Ramone tribute at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Oh,
and,
word!
Yeah, I got to check that out. It was pretty cool. He had CJ Ramone was there, and Billy Idol, and like it was just like it was pretty cool. It's like
they
covered some Ramone songs and played a lot of fun stuff. That was pretty awesome. I lucked out being able to go to that because I almost wasn't going to be able to make it, and just like almost last minute thing. So I just was like, oh great!
So you got to go to that?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've gone to like 90% of the Johnny Ramone tributes at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. I like, it's just they're always fun. I've been going for like since they started doing that.
That's awesome.
But that one was like I was almost going to miss that one, and it sold out. And so I was like, I was trying to get, and then at the last minute they I guess released like a small amount of tickets like the day of.
Oh wow!
So I was like, oh crap, I've got to go to this thing.
Yeah, dude. That was like a couple of weeks after my birthday. I remember hearing about that, and people are like, "You gonna go to that?" I'm like, "Dude, I can't afford to do that shit, man." Like, I'm flying out to LA in a couple of weeks now, but last year and the year before that, I was in no position to do any kind of thing like that. But
the funny thing is, Linda Ramone posted a bunch of photos from the event, and one of them is just a photo of like the audience, and it's just like me and my wife right there, right in the front, right.
That's cool, man. That's badass.
I was like, hell yeah, it's cool. It was that was such a cool thing. I wish they would have played longer, but they had a whole schedule of events and stuff, that they were doing there. They had like I think they played Pulp Fiction. I didn't stick around for that because I had my daughter with me, so I'm like,
probably not.
A 10-year-old watching Pulp Fiction, maybe not yet.
Too.
Oh, nice. Right on.
Yeah. We were talking about like vocalists that we couldn't necessarily tell apart earlier. You know who I have a hard time telling apart still is Mick Jones and Joe Strummer. I still have a hard time telling them apart. Being relatively new to the Clash, I imagine in a little while it won't be difficult at all. But yeah,
I could understand that for sure.
They're similar enough that accent, it's it kind of blends them together a little bit. But I mean, there are different voices. When somebody points it out, it becomes very obvious. I'm like, oh yeah, that does sound quite a bit different. But hell yeah, man.
There's like a huge Rancid influence. Like you could see Rancid's like what they've been influenced by with the Clash as well. Like
that's kind of what my whole thing was, is that I've always understood there was the influence there, but I didn't understand I always knew that they were influenced by them, and I understood kind of why. But when I heard the first two records, like literally I had heard I'd never listened to those albums. And when I heard them, it really fucked me up mentally, dude. Like I was like, this is crazy, because you can hear direct, like you can go, this song sounds like this song, and it's only like a small part, but you can hear it. It's like very, very obvious that those guys love that shit. And yeah, man, I'm glad I was able to realize it and understand it. And I love this music, and I love this culture and scene so much. And it shouldn't bother me what people say on the internet, really, but sometimes it really does when people give me zero credit to anything. And I'm like, man, you don't have any idea who I am, I guess, like, which is fine. Nor should you, I guess, if you don't want to like dive into my catalog of videos. But I'm not just, I don't pretend to be anything I'm not, but I'm not a fucking, like, I'm so lucky to even be here, but I don't know. I didn't know there was a checklist. I guess I got to figure out where to find a copy of it so I can be cool.
You're never going to please everybody, man. It's never going to happen. I gave up on that shit years ago.
Yeah, it just bums me out, man. I put a lot of effort into this stuff, and people act like I don't, and it's like shocking. Like, you can call me ugly or something, I guess. I wouldn't care about that. I ain't got nothing to do with the way I look. But shit, man, I put a lot of work into this channel.
It shows, man. It shows. I think I've watched a lot of your stuff, and I think it shows that you're putting the time and the effort in. And hey, if they're talking, at least they're talking.
That's a good point. I don't care past like a few seconds. Like I don't look at it and it doesn't ruin my day. Like I haven't, I've been doing YouTube for almost 5 years now, right? Now this channel is about a year, and in April it'll be 2 years. So it's coming up on 2 years old. But for like a few years before that, I was doing another channel, and I wasn't doing like punk content. I was doing like punk rock guy reviews, other kind of shit. And I wasn't really happy because people, dude, would just relentlessly shit on me. And it did bother me at first. And it took me a while to really realize that, like, well, they're all just like, people that do that are well, they're either having a really bad day or they're a fucking loser. And, what am I going to do? So people don't typically say stuff like that in your face. They'll shake your hand and go, oh, I like your channel. And then they'll turn around and go, oh, he's fucking terrible. So, I don't really let it hold too much weight in my life anymore. But there was a time, I'm sure it's the same with music.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I've had my fair share of people, ragging on what I do. And then you've got, on the other hand of that, people that love what you do. And it's like, who's to say who's right? But don't give energy towards the negative side and just focus on, doing what you do. And that's it. And like, do it for the people that love what you're doing.
Yes. That's the advice I would give anybody. On the same coin, other side though, I can have a video come out that I worked really hard on, and I could get 25 like glowing reviews of it and a bunch of positive comments, but one person will say something like really fucking mean. And it like ruins it doesn't ruin anything. It just like completely eclipses all the nice stuff. It's so weird how negative energy can like rule your whole day. Like you have to work at not letting that happen, because it doesn't mean anything when people say shit like that. Like it doesn't matter. Especially if you're not going to change anything anyways.
I mean, that's a good way to look at it for sure. like music wise, I've like, been on the side of that by, people saying like, oh, this guy does this, but he doesn't do it as good as this, or doesn't do it as good as that. And I'm sure you probably get compared to others too, but it's like,
Yeah.
that's like, wow, that's pretty cool. You're comparing me to somebody so notable. Like I must have, I must have really sparked something in you to get you to even think in that direction. So,
Right.
well, great,
Right.
good.
Also, I
Like,
do sound like the Ramones a little bit in Motorhead. Thank you. Like,
yeah, yeah.
people are
That's
so weird.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I've like, because I played in a lot of different genres of bands. I've it's mostly punk, metal, and rock. But
Okay.
between all of the stuff that I've done throughout my entire life as a musician, uh, like people are always like, "Wow, you sound so different on this record. You sound so different on that record," or "What were you going for on this one?" And it's just like, no, I can't continue to do the same thing over and over. You got to grow
Right.
as a musician. You got to try different things. You
You
got to
have to.
expand. What's the point of trying to put out the same record over and over, or trying to do, the same, like the last band I was in was a really fun band. We were on Cleopatra Records as well. And the majority of our stuff, it was like horror metal. So the majority of our
Nice.
stuff is like, it's, horror themed. I love horror films. I'm a big, horror film guy. I've got tons of memorabilia. I'm like all about it. And so like you start working on, we do an album, and now we're doing some singles, and we're got, planning another album. And it's like, now we're just writing the same shit. We're digging into the same pool of the same shit over and over,
Yeah.
which, it's cool if, shit, you want to do that. But as a musician, I want to grow. I want to move on. I want to do different things. I don't want to get stuck in the same thing. And that's, it gets stale when you kind of paint yourself into a corner and just do the same stuff. So it is cool that you're doing, you do talk about different genres, or different topics, or even an unboxing versus an interview is cool. I mean, all that shit's cool.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do, man. I did. Anytime somebody says something, anything positive, I just makes me feel nice, because I do put a lot of effort into things. But uh, I was explaining to somebody the other day. They were asking me like, "So what is your channel about?" And I was like, "It's a punk rock magazine." And they were like, "What?" And I was like, "I do all kinds of shit. You come to my channel, and you got playlists, and that's basically your like table of contents. And you can go to like." I have one that's like EP singles and LPs where it's just music. I don't talk on it. It's just like I'll upload something. I've got, artist spotlight stuff. Not as big a playlist, but I do have it where I'll kind of do that, but I'll also be talking about it a little bit. Then I have interviews. I've got podcasts. I've got live streams. I've got, like you said, unboxings. I got record, haul videos, and I'm about to upload one from. I was at a record swap yesterday, and I filmed a little bit, and I do my shop talk stuff now, where I show people what I'm doing at my store and how I conduct business. I'm about to upload a video. Or I have writing some notes for, what did I learn in my first 2 years owning a label? Like, I want people to know, I'm transparent. I want people to do what they want to do. So if they can learn something from me and go do what they want with their lives, that's the ultimate like win for me. I can live vicariously through 30,000 people if they want to do that. That would be amazing, But yeah, man, it's creating is a necessity for people like you and I. I don't do music because I just not built for that anymore. I think I was always meant to be on this side of things. But I have to get this shit out of me, dude. I have to get these thoughts out of me. I have to share this music. I have to talk to people that I admire. I don't give a shit if there's somebody that plays music on Cleopatra versus Columbia versus my label versus Tim Armstrong versus the Last Gang, the dude from Homefront or Jesse Michaels. I don't care what, because it's all the same to me. I want to talk to musicians, and it's not always an interview. It's always just a talk. It's not, some people I want to just interview. Some people I want to get to know. I want people to get to know you. They don't know you as well yet. You haven't been around doing this for 35 years yet. You're not Lars Fredrickson. So that would be more like an interview. I would, what I'm saying? But I don't know. I think this is a necessity. I think this channel needs to exist. So I'm going to do it whether some shitheads get on here and talk crap or not. So.
Well, that's good, man. That's the right mindset. I mean, I find what you do entertaining. So it's always, I'm watching it. I'm enjoying it. I'm sure there's other
Hell
people
yeah.
out there. I don't go to the comments and start saying shit, negative or positive. I don't do that on most videos. I'm a spectator, and
Most people are.
I enjoy watching stuff. And then I'm like, I find though, and here's the thing is, I find though, like people that will leave you negative comments, because I got a ton of negative shit on past band videos and music videos and this and that, and just even live show like videos people will comment stuff on. And I find that people that have the passion to go out there and talk that bad about you and say all this stuff, it's like, just fuck it. You shouldn't give it too much energy. It's if they really feel that passionate about it, it's like the same people that, like, they can go to the same restaurant 30 times and never leave a Yelp review, but you go one time and it's busy and they have poor service. All of a sudden, oh, this restaurant went real downhill. It's, you know what I mean? It's like,
yes,
I just want a reason to complain about it. And so eventually, maybe someday you'll put out something and they'll be like, oh, I actually like this, but they're not going to comment on it, because they're only going to comment when it pisses them off and makes them negative. But that's the thing, is light that fuse, piss them off. I mean, I'm all about it.
Fully agree with that. No, look, man, it bothered me back then, and it doesn't typically bother me now. Like that whole Husker Du thing, I didn't give a shit, man. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, I don't care, but I don't get it. Why are you so bothered by it? But yeah, I'd rather you talk shit than not talk at all, man. The worst thing you could have somebody do is be indifferent. I need you to either hate me or love me. I don't want you to be like, yeah, he's all right, I don't really care. Like, no, dude, I need you to have some kind of feelings towards me. What those feelings are doesn't matter. Like, when people tell you, hey, man, if you like my video, like it. If you didn't, dislike it. Yeah, please, dude, dislike it if you need to. I don't care. I need the engagement. I need that tells me a lot. It tells me that you're thinking about it, that it sparks something in you. Because if it's just boring and you don't say anything about it, or you don't have nothing negative or positive, I didn't do my job, man. And so, yeah. I'll talk about it a little bit, but I don't think about it a whole lot. People can say whatever they want, man. And also, like, I would be super bored if everybody loved everything that I liked. And if I liked everything everybody else liked, that'd be super boring, man. But
well, like I thought about, like, when I was putting this record together, and I thought about the response from some of the fans of my previous band and how they might take it and they might feel about it. And being that vocally I've I can't say I've changed. I think there's changes in there just because of my range isn't what it used to be.
sure.
But that's out of my control. So I'm
Right.
sure, like, that was a thought in my head, was like, oh, there's going to be that side of the coin where people are going to be saying, oh, he's not trying to belt out, or he's not trying to do this that he used to do, or this and that. Everyone's always going to compare you to something else, whether it's
Right.
something you did in the past or somebody else who's doing something similar to you. So I thought about that, and then I'm like, you know what? Let 90% of these people go through the shit I went through, and
Right.
let them
That's
go
the
through
thing.
it, and see if they still come out swinging on the other side. And that's all that I care about, is like, at the end of the day, who really gives a fuck? I'm going to do what I want to do.
And you should. I mean, that is the thing, is that yeah. I mean, people love to critique things when they're unhappy too, though. So they might even say some negative shit and then still come back and listen to it again. It's weird, isn't it?
That's for sure, man.
Yeah, that's
Totally.
really strange. I got to wrap up here in a minute. I got to go get ready for dinner, but I do want to hear a little bit more about what are your plans for the next 6 to 12 months with the band. What do you have that are definitely going to happen, and what are you hoping to happen? I know you said you're going to hopefully have an album potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I have. So I had 13 songs originally when I
Yeah.
put out the EP. So I still have those leftover songs, the batch of
Okay.
songs that were supposed to be on that full length record. So those are going to be released with some of the newer material I've been working on as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
It's a strange formula, because at this point I write and I play everything.
Yeah.
So everything you hear on the record is all me. I play
Man, that's crazy, bro.
every instrument on there. I do it all, like every bit of it. I've put a band together, but it's like, at this point the band hasn't contributed yet to that music. So I'm hoping to bring that element of other brains into the mix and get some, because you can't do it all your own. I mean, I had fun doing it on my own, but I'd love to team up with more people and do
Right.
add more mind power to the mix instead of just doing it all. But that's the plan, is to release the stuff that I've been working on and the stuff that I have. I've got 8 songs that are complete with vocals and all that, and I've got another 10 songs that are
Damn.
just pretty much all music, instrumental at this point. I'm still working on lyrics and writing all that, but then at the same time, I want to bring other people in on that and
Yeah.
contribute with the band. Shows for sure. Going to be working on some of that. More music videos. I mean, there's this project, like Sean and the Dead. This project for me, this band for me is it's what woke me up. It's what brought me back from fucking just feeling like that's it. I thought I was like I was done with music. I was like, I'm not going to be able to sing anymore. I'm not going to be able to perform anymore. Like, this is it.
That's crazy.
I had a good run, so getting like this has been more organic than any other band I've ever been in my entire life.
That's
I
good.
mean, this is just like, it's like, I don't even like, I sit here and I don't even have to write the songs. They just come to me. It's just like, I'm like,
That's
boom.
awesome.
I'm just like, I'm not even trying to write the songs. Like, everything that came out on that EP, with the exception of the cover that I did, all of that stuff was written very organically, and just, I just sat down and started playing it, and then added to it, and then grabbed the bass and tracked the bass now, and then here's what we're going to add next, and just it just all comes to me. It's just like, it feels like this is where I should be, and this is the path. So I'm gonna keep moving forward with this, and just have fun with it and enjoy it.
I look forward to hearing the evolution of the band as you add more people, because it'll change. There's no way it won't, unless unless you're still the person that writes everything. But if you add people to help you write, the sound will evolve a little bit. Now, how much, who knows? But I am looking forward to hearing. Well, I also want to hear these other 10 songs. That's a lot more than I thought. I thought you were going to say you had like another 4 or 5. 10, that's crazy, man. You're going to have a whole bunch of great stuff to choose from. Are you trying to do any like physical media?
Yeah, I think at some point I'll be releasing some. I
guess
like
through Cleopatra, huh?
Yeah. At some point, I think, like, and again, this is why it was so hard to pick those 5 songs, is because I really wanted to put out one full record, and I think that's what I've kind of been waiting on, is like when I release a full record. And on the other side of that is, like, I could have, like, let's say I would have released like the full record. Maybe some of these other songs might have been overshadowed and
right
by other things. So maybe that idea of slowly releasing some of this stuff works out in a good way. But definitely, like, we'll do some vinyl pressings and some CDs, and like I have this idea of doing like some bootleg cassette tapes. I know, like, cassettes stuff's coming back in. I just got to make sure the label's not going to be pissed off at me if I start handing out bootleg cassette tapes. But I think it'd be fun.
Be careful with that. What I would do if I were you, if you're going to do anything like that, I would get demo versions of songs that you might have. Like, there's got to be different recordings of the same. It could be the same song, and it has to be a different recording of it, though. So, like, maybe like an acoustic version, or just a straight up demo version where you tracked everything and it's just not the final mix and mastered copy of it. And then I think if I understand things right, you own that. That's still your stuff. All they own is the recorded, like, masters of the actual music, not the like melody.
Yeah, I mean, but these guys are really cool. I've been working with them for quite some time now, and so I think
no problem that you do something badass then.
Yeah, we synced up with them like 2018 or something like that, and so I've known these guys for quite a while. They're
nice.
A great label, good people. So I'm not worried about any of that stuff. I think in time there'll be a lot more stuff releasing from me and my my band.
That's awesome. Yeah, one of the best things about owning a very small label, I get to learn a bunch of cool shit, like legally, stuff like that. But I don't have any, like, I don't own anything. I don't want to. I just put out a record for somebody, and that's it. And so it's very easy for the bands to just, like, hey, if they want to work with me, they want to work with me. If they don't, they don't. Once it's done, it's done. If they want to repress it later, they can. If they want me involved, I can be. It's so simple. I can't imagine what it's like to have like a bigger, Cleopatra, as far as I'm concerned, is a pretty large label, and that's a whole different monster.
Yeah, that's why I've got nothing but love for those guys.
Hell yeah, I'm glad to hear that. They put out a bunch of good punk rock shit, though.
Oh, hell yeah, they do, for sure, consistently, and just being able to reach out to them with this new project and saying, hey, I'm working. I mean, I sent them some really bad demos at one point, and was like, hey, this is what I'm working on. And it was like not mixed, not mastered, just like some song ideas, demos, and I'm like, hey, this is what I'm working on.
Oh, they can tell though.
And they were totally into it from day one. So that was pretty awesome. That actually was like a not a surprise, but like it made me feel good about what I was doing and
right.
Felt like
validate you a little bit.
Yeah, because here I was like, I go through these 2 pretty big surgeries and a 3rd procedure, and like I got a big chunk of my left vocal cord removed.
That's crazy.
And here I was just like inspired by listening to shit that made me feel better. And, just like I said, that whole therapeutic shit. And so here I was inspired by everything that made me feel better. And I'm like, I need to release some of this energy and I need to start writing again. And so here I was doing that and not sure that I was even doing anything with it other than I just need to get it out and just record it, put it down and that's it. And so it started to become something more than that, which, who knows where it's going to keep going. But I plan to just keep doing what I'm doing and, keeping that down, that same consistency of writing what feels right.
It's very therapeutic, man. You can't beat what this does for us. I have 2 more questions. Can I run to the restroom real quick? And then I got 2 more questions for you.
Sure.
Cool. I'll be back in like 30 seconds, bro. I just got to piss. Sorry, Jojo. I see you, big guy. Hello. I see you, big dog. You want to say hi? Yeah, come here. Come here. Come on. Come here. Oh. This is Pedro.
Oh, nice.
I don't know what he's doing right now, but he's asking for something.
Is he a bulldog?
He's an American bully, yeah. Yeah. Hey,
one too.
He's a big old sausage. Here, let me finish up, buddy. We'll go play. Hold on. Let me finish up. I'm almost done. Go sit down. Okay. So, real quick before we get out of here, your surgeries. Are you a fan of Avenged Sevenfold at all?
I'm not, nothing personal, just not my cup of tea.
For sure. I was just curious if you knew anything about the way his vocal thing went. Like I don't know if he had a surgery. I think he did, but his sound completely changed from their second album to their third. Now I'm not a big fan of their music either. I kind of stop around, I don't know, whatever year City of Evil came out. But I remember their sound changing drastically, and I bet it was a terrifying thing. And every time you bring up your surgeries, I'm like, man, I bet that's what that dude felt like. And it turned out to be a really good thing because that's when they got really famous. Their music became more palatable for a much larger audience. And, you don't necessarily know that you want to do that until you have to do it,
Yeah, I don't know what the singer from Avenged Sevenfold had. I'm not actually I'm curious. I'll look it up now.
Yeah.
I wasn't even aware that he went through some surgery. I know it's pretty common, like vocalists will get like nodes, on the vocal cords, and that happens.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
That's pretty common with a lot of vocalists, and that's a pretty simple procedure from what I understand. I mean, nothing in your throat's going to be fun. Trust me on that.
Right.
So I don't know, but mine was like something that was unexplained, really. Like the surgeon that I went to, he's an ENT, ear, nose, throat specialist. He said he's like, there's little information about this. There's like a little data on it.
That's so crazy.
He's like, I'm actually going to write a paper on it because there's not much like that we know about what it is. It was some strange growth. Turned out to be non-cancerous, but it was big enough to where they're like, do you want to should we remove a piece of this and like biopsy it? And then we think about different procedures, or do you want to just cut? He goes, do you want to go aggressive and just cut this whole thing out? And so my thing was like, well, how much are you cutting out? And he goes, well, it's covering about 80 to 90% of your left vocal cord. So he's like, we have to cut, like, we're going to cut it out. Like, so I'm like, so like 80 to 90% of my left vocal cord, what does that mean? He's like, we're not sure what it's going to, I'm like, I don't like that. Like, I want, you know, but at the end of the day, I'm like, everything I've always done has been aggressive, no matter what. That's just the way I am. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to just, why cut a little bit of a piece off of it? And if it is something bad, it gets worse.
Right. Right.
So I said, let's just cut it out. And
that's crazy, dude.
Fucking went under the knife July 1st of 2022. Under anesthesia, passed out, woke up, and it's like I couldn't talk for like almost 2 weeks. It was super painful. My wife loved it because I couldn't talk for a long time. It's an ongoing joke we have.
I bet she got tired of that very quick, though.
Yeah, I was just writing everything down, and it was weird. It's weird when you can't speak and your thoughts are all in your head, other than what you can write down on a piece of paper, or like I had this app on my phone that I could type something in and then it would speak it in some like Stephen Hawking type voice.
Yes.
So that was pretty wild. I couldn't imagine having to go through that longer, but it's weird when you're just there with your thoughts. It's a very strange, it's almost isolating and weird, even though you do have people around you at times. It's isolating and weird. So anyways, whatever it was, they cut it out, and then I go for a checkup, and boom, it's coming back. And so like a couple of weeks later, when I'm going to go for the checkup, he's like, yeah, it's coming back. And I'm like, oh shit, what does that mean? Oh, I don't know what it means, because we don't know what it is.
What the fuck, dude?
So yeah, it's like, he's like, I think we need to do another surgery, but we're going to go a little more aggressive this time. And instead of like using a laser, we're going to go in with a scalpel and just cut into it. So he's like, we want to go deep and get if there's any roots or anything in there, because he's like, they biopsied it after the first one. I wanted to keep the tissue that they cut out of there, because I'm like, that's my vocal cord. But it's like, no, like we need as much tissue as possible so we can biopsy it.
Oh,
so
I would have wanted to keep it too.
Yeah, I thought, like, what better as a vocalist to have it on my desk? You know, I'm going to have like hey, there's my vocal
and like
cord.
A little jar, fucking like a little pickled fucking.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be a great cover of an album too.
It would have been.
What is that? You're like,
I have photos of what they cut, the chunk they cut out, and it's pretty aggressive. But so yeah, they go back in this time with a scalpel and they cut it even deeper because they want to make sure there's no roots in there. At that point, they knew it was not cancer, but they were like, it's like, it shouldn't be there because it's like foreign cells, which foreign cells are like, you know, a precursor to possibly becoming cancer, or who knows. So because they didn't know what it was, we go in for second surgery. They cut all that out the second time. That one was even, the recovery was way more brutal. Because,
oh, really? Oh, because they went
deeper. The first one was a laser, and the second one was they went full scalpel in there.
Good.
And
grief, dude.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. I will say the recovery was worse than the actual surgery, because you're passed out and you wake up.
Surgery, you wake up, it's you don't even, you go to sleep and you just kind of sit up, and it's been 4 hours.
But then we did this thing where, so my the surgeon that I'm working with through UCLA Medical Center, Dr. Shiba, he's a amazing guy. He says like, hey, you're a vocalist, like let's work on trying to get you some range back once it heals up. So we go in and we do this injection thing where I did 12 injections right through the Adam's apple, and they stick a needle right in your throat, like from the outside in. Like the surgery, I have no idea what they're doing. I think they're going through the mouth, and they've got like a camera on there and all that. And I know that they go through my nose when I still have to do checkups for it. So they'll go through my nose, this big ass, like bendy straw looking thing that goes up your nose. And it's a camera that it's a pretty uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
But so the injections were actually the worst thing that I did. And so they injected some sort of filler into where my vocal cord used to be. There's like this little indentation that looks like a half pipe. And
Okay.
so they injected it to puff it out a little bit to see if they can close the gap of the vocal cords to produce more sound, more range.
Oh.
It didn't work. It failed because the injections basically are like temporarily your body metabolizes the saline or whatever the hell they inject you in.
That's
So
ass, bro.
it was a trial to see like, okay, if the injection works, then we can do like like we'll go in and we'll do a surgery and we'll put some sort of like an implant in there to puff out that area.
Yeah.
But the injections didn't work. And like knowing what I know now that it didn't work, I would have never fucking done that because it was the most painful thing. And they numb you up to, but it was still extremely the most painful thing I've gone through. And like I grew up skateboarding. I broke this, broke that. You know what I mean? Like I've been in my fair share of bar fights. I'm no stranger to pain.
Dude,
that
that's
was
awful.
That was brutal, man. It was like just Adam's apple. Like they just like a needle like that long, and it's just like,
fuck,
and like
bro.
you're awake the whole time, and you're just sitting straight up, and you see them coming in with a needle, and you're like, oh shit, like, yeah, I got to deal with this. Oh, and the fun part is they give you a bowl to spit blood in because once they go in with a needle, they're like, you're going to start spitting blood up. So like they give you a bowl. So the whole time they're doing it, you're holding a bowl and they're like, go ahead and spit. And you spit and it's just like blood coming out like you got popped in the mouth.
I want to make a movie about this because it sounds so fucking disgusting.
My wife was in the room for that when I got the injections.
My wife would have passed straight out, dude.
She was even like, and I was like, you should have taken some video or like a couple pictures or something. She goes, like, I couldn't even think about that at that time. And like, she's normally not squeamish, but she was like, yeah, that was tough to watch. She's like, that was pretty intense.
My wife gave me a shot once and fainted. Now she gives me shots every week now because I have to take a medication. But like, yeah, back in like 2000 and shit, I don't know, maybe 18 or so, they were showing her how to do it, and a little droplet of blood came out, and she was like, it just fell straight out, dude. Thank God she was on carpet. But you know, my wife's my best friend, so I don't want her to fall and crack her dome open, man. Like I'm very concerned about my wife and her well-being. But
yeah,
it is hilarious to watch her get squeamish about stuff. She's funny, man. Okay, first off, that's fucking insane. That's not what I thought you were going to tell me when I started talking about the surgery thing. I had like 17 visions that made me almost puke. The needle thing, bro. I used to have intravenous drug use problems, and I can't even like look at needles anymore. Like they make me very queasy, which is why I can't give myself my own medication. My wife has to do it. I can't even look at it, bro. If I had to like jab my arm, I don't know if I could even do it, which is crazy because it doesn't really hurt. It's just the act of doing it that I can't fuck with anymore. But did you told me that you had a couple of your, was it you that said you had music in Danzig's movie?
Yeah.
Was it Veronica?
Yeah.
Dude. Okay, I'm not gonna get into Veronica because I'm not trying to be negative Nancy right now. But what's it like having your music in a movie that's associated with that guy? That's got to be crazy, right?
Yeah. So like I grew up like loving the Misfits. Like that was just my probably number one band growing up. I mean, I got a Misfits tattoo when I was 15 years old.
Hell yeah.
A neighbor of mine gave it to me in a garage. And my dad found out and beat the shit out of me for it. So I took an ass beating for a Misfits tattoo at a very young age, which rightfully so. As like a parent now, I'm like, I get it. Like, yeah, you're like getting tattooed in some garage by some guy. Like, you don't know if this shit's sterile. You don't know what you're getting into.
Oh, it's almost certainly not.
But yeah, so I mean, that's how big of a fan I was and still am. And so, I mean, we just got a call one day. It was like the A&R calls us and he's like, hey, Danzig's got a movie coming out. And yeah, I think they were like, I think he referred to him as Glenn. And I was like, I'm like, okay, like Glenn, like who are we talking about? Glenn, like they're all like on first name base with him.
Right.
I spent a lot of time with him. So I'm like, okay, like cool. And then it like, you know, it's like it came out in the conversation. You know, this movie and it's his directorial debut and blah, blah, blah. And he wants to use some of your music in the soundtrack. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, what do you need from me? And they're like, oh no, we're just letting you know. Like, it's like the deal. It's a done deal. Like,
Hell yeah.
as a record label, they already understand, like, we're going to do what's in your best interest. Which, like, I'm never going to complain about them doing
Right.
shit like that, which was pretty amazing. So right. I never even knew it was going to be 2 songs until the movie came out and they invited us to the LA premiere. And then we go there and I'm like, I'm just expecting 1 song and it's 2. And I was like, well, that was cool. And then when the soundtrack came out, which I have a picture disc vinyl, which is fucking awesome. It's one of my prized collections.
That is awesome, dude.
Vinyl. And it's got my, song on side A and the song on side B. And I'm just like out of all the bands that were on there, we were the only band that got 2 songs on the soundtrack. And I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, there was some pretty big notable bands on that soundtrack. Why we got 2, I don't know, but I would just like to think that, like, maybe Danzig or somebody in his camp heard, the songs and they couldn't decide between one or the other and said, fuck it, let's do both. I don't know what the story is. I never got that, but I don't know. I mean, it was cool. It was all, through Cleopatra Records.
Yeah. That's still badass though.
They put it all together for us and it was like just a phone call, like, hey, this is what's happening. Which was just pretty cool.
I can't imagine what it'd be like to have anything that I created on any kind of person that admires artwork of some kind. Like, that's cool. Hey, he's got a second movie out. It was like a Western.
Yeah. I forget the name of it. I didn't see that one yet.
No, that's the one that I wanted to watch because I heard that it was like quite a bit better than whatever about Veronica. It was his first movie. It was whatever. I actually met quite a few people that liked it. Yeah, that was a interesting movie. But yeah, regardless, dude, even if my art was in that movie, dude, let me think of a movie I actually fucking can't stand. You ever heard of a movie called Bad Milo? It's the fucking worst piece of shit movie I've ever seen in my life, right? I would still be ecstatic if my music or art was in that movie. So it's got to be pretty amazing to have it in something that's associated with Danzig.
Yeah, but and that's kind of like the, for me, I don't like the typical movies. If you say something's bad, I'm gonna go watch it now because I'm like, I'm curious about it. Like I do like a lot of, like, especially when it comes to horror films. I mean, sometimes the worse it is, and I'm not saying anything bad about Veronica because I actually love the movie. I thought it was great. But I have a very, I have like a bias towards it, and not just because I'm on the soundtrack, but like, to me, I think Glenn can do no wrong. See, now I'm on first name basis with him.
So that's okay though, because Tim Armstrong's done some stuff that I know people don't really care for that I love because it's his. I totally understand that. I think that there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it is. I mean, I thought it was fun. I mean, is it an Oscar-winning movie? I mean,
fuck no.
It's not,
okay. Here's the plot twist though. I like actively bad movies. I actively like bad movies. I genuinely like shot on video, but I was expecting a little better from him simply because of who he is and who he almost certainly has at his disposal. I need to go back and rewatch that because it's been a while. But I only watched it the one time, so I do want to rewatch it because my tastes have gotten even a little more like strange in the last few years, and it's been about 4 years since I watched that movie. So I just remember having a pretty hilarious response to it. But yeah, man, I mean, you like what you like, dude. I don't care. I'm certainly not going to judge anybody for liking something.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, it's like creative freedom, and I think he's like, it takes guts to go out there and make a movie, direct a movie, create a movie. It was like his first movie that he directed, and I don't know. I think it takes guts to go out there and do that. It's not an easy thing to do. So
no, that I can tell you for a fact. I'm fixing to go shoot some music videos. I can tell you that a movie is not easy.
Yeah, for sure.
And didn't he write it too? It's like it's all him, right? Like the whole thing. Yeah, that's look. The fact that exists is a pretty big accomplishment. So
yeah, and I think I mean, just like I said, being included in that, like his directorial debut. I mean, like who could have asked for that? You know, it's
No,
just
that's like history book type shit.
yeah, it's like I didn't even realize he was doing a movie. Had no idea any of that was happening. It was just for me, it was random. And then like a couple months, or maybe even a year later, like I just happened to be in the neighborhood and we stopped by the Cleopatra headquarters, their office, and we're just me and one of the other members of the band was like shooting the shit with the A&R and we'd always go in there and have a shot of whiskey with him and just hang out and in the area, drop in. It was always like open door policy. Our home's your home. Stop in and say hi if you're around.
Yeah.
So we just stopped in and then at one point, like Glenn just gets up and just walks by us, and he's just like, and we're sitting on the couch and hanging out, and there's like they had
He
this
was
cool
just
lobby.
there kicking it.
He was in the office with the owner of the record label. I guess they were talking shop some stuff.
That's
and it's
crazy.
just like you're sitting there, and it's like, oh, cool. There's actually a photo of that because the one of the guys at the label was like, hey, these are the guys that are on your soundtrack. You guys get a picture. And so like
that's crazy.
Yeah. It was random moment. That was kind of like, for me, it's one of those like they say don't meet your heroes type thing. I'm kind of like, I don't put that much faith in anybody in this world. So I'm kind of like, I don't take it for any of that. But it was just a cool interaction, and it was quick, it was short, shook his hand, took a picture, talked real briefly, and that was it. And it was like that's all you need.
Right. My interaction with him is quite different than that. I filmed his set in Austin and put it up on the channel, and I was expecting it to get copyright claimed, so they could get the revenue from it. And so it gets copyright claimed, and then he lets it get to, I think it was like 24,000 views, and he got something like, I don't know, $1,600 out of it. And then he gives me a copyright strike. So I have like a fucking personal beef with that fucking guy. Not really. I don't really give a shit, but like that was the only interaction I've ever had with him. So I'd much rather have my art on his movie.
But, so you filmed his set like they were filming somewhere, and you just happened to come by and get a video?
No, I went to the show and I filmed the set.
Oh, I thought you meant like the movie set.
No, I went to the Misfit show. I'm sorry, I should have been a little more clear. I was being very sarcastic. I was just being stupid. I filmed their set, and I figured that if I put it up on the channel, that because I was like a mile back, I wasn't like I was getting great footage. I just did it. I filmed all. I mean, you know what I do. I put all kinds of live music up on the channel, and I thought, okay, if this gets it past, I don't know how familiar you are with YouTube, but like it has to go through a thing where it searches, and if it's copyrighted music, they have to like clear it to go up on the thing. And I was like, okay, if it gets past that, I should be good to go. Mm-hmm. He'll claim it, which it's his music, so he can. I have a whole nother opinion on copyright claimed music and videos, but a live set, I don't really give a shit. It wasn't for any other reason than to let the audience that couldn't afford to go see it get to see some of it, right? Because it was a lot of money to go see that show. My only issue is that he gave me a copyright claim, which I expected. And then after it did like 24,000 views and he got about $1,600 out of it, he then changes it from a claim to a copyright strike. And if you get 3 of those, they will terminate your whole channel. It's non-negotiable. And the thing is that he didn't have to do that. They gave him a list of options. And I know it was him because it's a legal thing. So I had to be involved with who it was doing it. And I was pretty shocked whenever I got all the information. I was like, that motherfucker's not even using like a pseudonym. Like it's his fucking name. What the fuck, dude?
That's actually pretty hilarious. And yeah,
he's a little
happened.
But he's a fucking turd, man. But
he's not a fan of people recording his shows though, for some reason.
Which I don't understand, man, because the feedback was phenomenal, man, because the show was awesome and they did a great job. I just don't understand why you would like just because like it'll tell you, okay, like so when you go in to do a copyright claim, even if he had let it go for all that time, taking the money, they then give him the option. Hey, you don't have to give this a strike. You can just request that the guy take it down. And then if he doesn't, then you can give it a strike. He chose to go, nah, just give him a strike. And it was just bewildering to me as a big fan of his and all the money I spent to go to the show, get the merch, film it. I wasn't doing it to steal anything. I wasn't doing it to get any money from it. I knew he was going to get the money from it. It was just weird, man. I took it a little personal because it was personal to me. To him, probably not.
I think like it sounds like it's in his mind. It's like a way to deter people from doing that in the future is
Oh,
to
probably. I
just
just
to
don't
come down
understand
on
why
them.
he wants people to not do it. I don't understand that, man. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
You
like
think it's free promotion.
when I went to the Vegas show to see Danzig sings Elvis, the same thing. I mean, there were signs everywhere that said, you know, you can't, like, no cell phones, you can't film anything. And then he came out like 2 hours late because he was like delayed with a flight or something like that. So the whole audience is there 2 hours, 2 hours in. I was pretty drunk by the time he started playing because, like, you know, you get to a show and you're like, you know, okay, I'm gonna have a drink
Well,
and you know, wait for this to happen. And like 2 hours go by, like
it's a long
everybody's like
time.
getting hammered. So I think half the audience was drunk. But he comes out and one guy starts filming him from like in the front with a phone, and he like kicks the phone out of the guy's hand. And I think the like um I don't know if the guy got kicked out or something like that. I didn't actually see it. I was more focused on like, yeah, I was actually pretty intoxicated by that point too. But I heard like a bunch of commotion and he was saying some shit. And then like somebody next to us was like, oh yeah, he just kicked the phone out of some guy's hand.
Well, I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all. But like, to be very clear, if there were signs up in this venue that said you can't do that,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done that. When I got checked in the venue, they looked through my bag and they were like, "What's this?" And I was like, "It's a harness for a camera." And they were like, "Okay, what kind of camera are you using?" And I was like, "I've got a GoPro." And they were like, "Hmm." And I was like, "I can put that in my car and use my phone." And they were like, "Yeah, that'll work." And I went and put the GoPro away and used the phone. Like, it's not like I genuinely had no idea that was going to happen. I knew it would get copyright claimed, but I had no clue he was going to be that like upset by all that. So it
Mm.
blew up and got lots of views and a ton of positive feedback. You know, in hindsight, I should have known he's a fucking tool, but he makes great music and he makes great art. So, you know, I still love his art and I would still love to talk to him. I mean, whatever, man. He's probably done that to so many people. He would have no idea what I was talking about if I brought that up. So I wouldn't. I just would love to talk to him about, well, Misfit stuff mostly. But like, you know, of course, he's an icon, bro. It's just weird when people don't understand how to utilize people like me. Like, you take something like that and you use it. Like, you use it. He's getting all the money. It's getting great reviews. Everybody loves it. The comments were fucking amazing. Use it to your benefit, man. It's just like these labels that like copyright claim a video. If I'm reviewing a song and I play like a 30-second clip of the song, they copyright claim it. I don't think that should be allowed. That's fucking insane. I'm doing a job. I'm literally reviewing your music and you're going to copyright claim my video? Like, if I use the entire song, no pauses, no talking, no review of it, well, that doesn't make any sense. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. But if you're like pausing it, you're giving it your opinion, you're breaking it down, talking about the melody, and you're talking about the lyrics and the production of it, and that's literally a law that allows that. And then, you know, YouTube just won't do anything about it. It's YouTube that makes it
Yeah,
stupid.
it's a big difference between doing that, what you described, and trying to, like, you know, you're editing a video and putting a whole thing together and using that as the soundtrack. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a big
that's actually illegal to do. But what I do is I mean, I've looked into it because I've had enough issues with things to where I kind of wanted to know. And I'm like, I gotta look into this, man. Like, what am I really allowed to do? I wasn't worried about YouTube. I was just like, okay, at some point, am I gonna have any legal trouble? So I wanted to know, like, what was I supposed to be able to do? That way, if anybody ever does say, like, hey, I want to sue you for something, I should be able to go no, because basically, everything that I do is within the limits of the
but
law,
I
which
think,
is probably why I'll never have that issue.
and on the flip side of that, like, I think that I love it when you go to a venue and there's like no cell phones and like the audience is just engaged with the bands, and like
I
you're
won't go
not
to venues like that.
you don't have a ton of phones in your face like while you're watching the band. I actually love that, but I think that the bands should, you know, they should profit off of that. They should live stream it. They should film it. If people are going to do it anyways, they may as well just do it on their own.
Well, it's a multi-leveled thing, man. And part of it is that you can't tell me that I don't get to go and capture a thing that I was doing. Like, you can't tell me that I can't go in there and film like an experience that I had. So I can't take a photo either. Like, if it says it at the door, then it's your choice to whether or not you want to go. As an example, I wouldn't go to a venue that said that. If it said you cannot take photos or video, I would not go. I film every single show that I go to because I'm 43 almost. I don't like to be in the pit anymore. I like to film these because I make little videos. A lot of it never even reaches my YouTube channel. I do it because I like to do it. Now, if the band doesn't want that, it's my choice to whether or not I want to participate at this point, right? So they have every right in the world to say that, and I would never tell a band you don't get to say that. No. If you don't want that to happen, that's your prerogative. I don't have to be involved at that point. It's my choice to not do it. I'm still going to be a fan of the band, but and also yes, the venues should just live stream it anyways. I don't understand why they don't. It ain't about making the money for me. I don't get any money off of that. I don't make money off of that. Like I don't make money off of any live sets. I do it because I like to do it. And on the live streams, when people like super chat, I don't make money unless I get a super chat. I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm doing it to share time with the audience, right? The videos that I make in order to make money, you can tell it's really obvious. It's either a video essay, an interview of some kind. It won't typically even have music in it because I can't have music in it, which I don't agree with, as long as it's done the right way. If it's a small clip of the song, I don't see how it should be an issue. If it's dude, especially if you're giving it like review and breakdown, I just don't understand that. That's literally like a job. You can go get a job to do that.
I think for like upcoming artists, like having people in the audience filming and posting it more and more, like that's honestly even any artist really, it's a good promotional tool no matter what.
That's yes.
But I have to say, because I went to go see Ghost at the Forum, and they were doing like some live whatever video or whatever they were shooting. They had cameras there, and they were doing their own video that they were going to release at a later date. Yeah. So they specifically had a no phone rules. When
I understand that.
No phone. But it was actually really cool watching a band and not having a bunch of phones in your face. And maybe that's my fault because I'm not buying a close enough seat.
Right.
But, you know what I mean? But there was a different dynamic for sure. There was like a lot of engagement with the audience that felt really cool.
It just depends on the artist, man. Because I understand that. I agree that they should be able to do it. I think it probably was awesome. If I know ahead of time when I buy a ticket that I can't take my phone, then I'm gonna decide if I want to go or not. At this point, I know I was being a little hardline with it. I won't go. That's not necessarily the truth. I like to go do that though, so it would be a decision. I'd be like,
But I get what you're saying though. Is if you went there, clearly they knew you had a camera. You said I'm going to do it on my phone. Like, yeah, it's kind of a shit move. I just don't think that the band had a say so in that. Like the venues need to work better with the bands if that's the band's wishes, and then like let people know up front. Because what happened to you is kind of like
I just think that he could have done it. He could have just had me pull it down. He didn't have to. That's my issue with it, is that he had a choice to penalize me or ask me to remove it. He took all the money from it and then penalized me. It's just a dick move. It's like it shows me that he's a shit person, and it's like I don't like people like that, right? So this is the kind of thing that I separate the art from the artist, because it's nothing like okay, there's not like a sexual situation thing, or it's not like a physical abuse thing, right? So I don't care. I can separate the art from the artist. When it comes to something like that, like something that's like grimy or gross or illegal, I don't separate the art from the artist. This is a personal thing that he likes to do or that he doesn't want done. It's just that I've never seen the Misfits. I had no idea he wasn't into that shit. I didn't know until this happened to me. You know, and people are like, oh yeah, you should have known him. How would I know? I've never seen them play. I don't know anything about Glenn Danzig like that. So I just thought it was dumb because he had the opportunity. And if he did it, I know that he had to look at it to do it. So if he looked at it, he also saw that it had great feedback. I just don't see how you're not smart enough to see that, okay, man, this is actually doing good for me. You're getting all the money from it. I don't want the money from it. I wasn't complaining about that. It was never the issue. The issue was solely based on the fact that he had a decision to make. Do you want to actively penalize this guy, or do you want to just have him remove it? They're both available options, and I have a very good track record of being very cool with people about music stuff. Oh, I'd rather just penalize him because he made that decision, and it was him that did it. It wasn't anybody else. So people go, oh, it's not that personal. It is personal because he had a decision to make it personal or not, and he chose to make it personal. You know, he's a very arrogant fella. You know,
I think he could have sent the channel an email like, don't do that shit again.
Well, that's the thing. Well, no, dude, they would have sent me an email that said, hey, this guy says that you need to take this down. You have 24 hours to do it. And then if I don't, I get the strike anyways, even if I decide to take it down later. So I would have absolutely been, I wouldn't argue anyways. Look, dude, if you sent me an email and you're like, hey, look, man, I'm changing some shit up. I don't really like that music anymore. Can you take that video down? Yeah, that's it. So, okay, full disclosure, that's how I got the interview with Jesse Michaels. I filmed some shit. I put it up on my channel, and he talked to me privately. He was like, "Hey, if you wouldn't mind, I don't really like some of the stuff that I said in there. I'm working on a dialogue. He was working on something, and he just was like, I don't really care for it. He's like, you don't have to do anything. It's your video, but if you'll do that, I'll do an interview with you to kind of, And I was like, fuck, I would have done it anyways. But that was amazing. So I've got a lot of admiration for him. I've got a lot of admiration for him for that. He didn't have to do that for me.
That's a cool backstory too, because I saw the interview and I was like, oh, that's
how the fuck did he get this? Most people ask me that. How'd you get this? And
I thought that was great. I was like, that the channel's moving. It's progressing. Right. I was happy for you.
It's pretty crazy. And I don't have like something where I sit around and think about Glenn Danzig. The strike has been absolved. It's been taken down because I did what I needed to do to get it worked out. But like, it just didn't make any sense. Like, you took all the money, then you still fucking kicked me when I was down. Like, that's some fucking shit move, man. And like, I guess I just assumed he was a better dude than that. And people are like, yeah, no, he's notorious for shit like that. I just didn't know. But whatever. I would still interview the guy. I mean, it's fucking Glenn Danzig.
He's definitely known for not being the easiest to work with or the friendliest person. I've had different interactions with him. I haven't had many interactions with him.
Right.
It's always been short and sweet. And so I think kind of like certain people, you just, need those short and sweet interactions.
If I walked up to him and got a photo, he would probably be polite.
Yeah, I mean,
I would be pretty surprised if he wasn't. Like, I don't think that he's just some righteous asshole to people in their face. I just think that this kind of stuff rubs him the wrong way, and I don't understand why. Like, labels need to understand what YouTubers like me bring to the table, because they don't get it. It's really clear. Like, it's really clear that they don't understand what we offer. When they keep copyright claiming these videos, there's millions and millions of views and listens and stuff that they're not getting. That all they would have to do is let go of like portions of a penny, and they're just so greedy they won't do it. So people don't put the music and stuff. Therefore, we don't talk about it as much. Now, if the artist wants to do something, I think the artist should have more rights. It's a very complex, complicated.
I think topic. What it is though too is I think a lot of these like artists and labels, and it might just be people who don't understand this technology yet and don't understand what this is, because I'm not going to say it's new. YouTube's been around for a long time, and channels and stuff like what you do.
Right.
It's been around. It's, there's a lot of them out there. But I think that maybe certain people don't see the potential in them because they don't understand it at this point.
I agree. Yeah.
And that's just, it's like new to them. Like, when I was younger and I, played in a punk band, I played drums. It was like when I was really young, I'm talking about like 10, 11, 12 years old. I never wanted to record anything. I just wanted to play shows because I just enjoyed playing shows. And my older brother was like, you got to record something, because all you're doing is playing shows. Like, that's a small, limited amount of people that can hear what you're offering. If you start to record stuff, you can, get it out there, and more than just, the 20 people who show up to see you guys play in somebody's backyard.
Right.
And so at that point I was like, oh, I didn't even understand. Like, yeah, we should record something. It never clicked with me before, but I'm just saying it's almost the same thing as they don't see that, hey, maybe I should be doing more content with these creators.
It's not even that they should be doing anything. They should leave us the fuck alone and let us do what we're doing, as long as we're doing things the legal way. Because the thing is that there's a legal right that I have, and YouTube has made it to where I don't get to do the things that I'm legally allowed to do. If I just play a song, I have no reason to think that I have earned anything from that, because I haven't. But if I break it down, I talk about it, I review it, and then not only that, but I'm becoming a platform of, right now I'm very small still, but like, it's becoming a platform, and these labels should see that as a benefit. They're not, if they don't get advertising on a radio station for free, so why should they get it on YouTube for free? It's the same thing. It's all media at this point. I don't, and like at some point YouTube was talking about doing like a split where the label gets a portion and the creator gets a portion on YouTube, as long as it's like, again, being reviewed, broken down. What's the word I'm looking for, man? There's another word when you give something your commentary. If you're giving commentary on it, as long as you're doing something to change it and you're not just playing the song. They were talking about doing a thing where they split the revenue. Now the revenue is really small. It's just an irritating thing, because the labels don't seem to understand that it's a useful tool, and they should be like urging us to do it. They should be like, no, y'all take the revenue. It's not much anyways. You take it, hype up my artists, and then they're going to have a better tour. They're going to have more merch sales. We're going to get more album sales. We're going to be able to sign more artists. Like, it's a tool. Use it. It's just like Spotify. I'm about to have a talk tonight with my friend Nitty. We're going to go back and forth on this shit because he's like, Spotify is bad. I'm like, yes, I've never said it was good, but it's a tool. Use it. Spotify has led so many people to my Bandcamp that helps out bands that I'm friends with. Doesn't mean that they get paid enough. Also, not only that, but how much should you make off of my $12? I've listened to your song twice, and I've listened to other thousands of songs. How much should you make off my $12 a month? Because I don't think that they think like this. They're thinking of only, well, they're a $1 billion company. They're not paying enough. Well, how do you know? They took all the risk. They grew the company. It's a long conversation, but like,
I think that if like you're saying, it's a tool, and using it as such, using it as a tool, then that's the mind frame that should
it's
be
not
having.
perfect.
No, but
it should be improved.
But even like, let's like any artist, like you have the Misfits set on your channel. Like, it just because you've reached a certain level doesn't mean that there's a couple of guys or girls or kids or whatever, people that might hear this set or see like a song on there that they weren't aware of this artist. And that's, if you sell one CD, if you sell one record, if you sell one, like, to me, I think that's a win. And maybe, I don't know, maybe just not everyone sees it that way. On the other side, I will say too, it's like, it could have not been Danzig directly that did that. Like, I know you said it looks like it was.
No,
it's not the label, and somebody's just.
I know that's like your guy. I get it. it was Glenn Danzig, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not no. I have certain information that I'm not really. I don't think I'm legally allowed to share it. Maybe I am. I don't know. I'm not gonna. But yes, I have unequivocal proof that that's who it was. It evolves around like personal emails, signatures, and dialogue. Yes, it was him. I don't really care that it was him. I do care that it was him, but like, I'm not surprised that he was the one that did it. I'm surprised that he did it.
Now you got me thinking, like, Danzig's up at like 3 a.m. with a glass of wine, scouring YouTube, trying to.
No, that's not even how it works. That'd be hilarious, dude. No, what happens is like this. Remember when I said if it got past the like clearance thing that I thought I'd be fine? It's because he gets an alert that says not everybody has this. Some people that are on like Century Media, it'll go to the label heads.
Yeah.
He owns this music. That's the reason that I know it was him, because of the email address that it went to. It's all because of exactly who it was. A lot of bands, it wouldn't be the bands. I would say almost all other bands, it wouldn't be the band. Like, if it was a Rancid thing, it wouldn't be them. It would be somebody at Epitaph or Hellcat, right? But there's an alert that goes to the label head or whatever, or whoever owned the music, the owner of the music, right? They get an alert essentially. So what happens is as far as I understand it, based on what I've been told by the people that do all this, that run all this shit, is that he was given an alert. Hey, this is here. It has to pass this in order for it to go live. Do you want it to go live? And it's probably at that point, it wasn't him that did anything. Yeah, sure, whatever. Cool. It's just a live set. No worries. Boom. Then it gets out in the world. Then there are other entities, which would be him, that gets told that it is this music that's being played. He has to physically go in there and go, I don't like this. At that point, it wasn't a bot and it wasn't the label. It was him, because he's the music owner. So again, it's whatever. But like, no, he's not going around and searching for it. He's getting told it's there. That would be fucked if he had to go. Dude, can you imagine if he did that? Sat up all night. What the fuck is somebody saying about, whatever album he did, or like, oh, I don't like those old Sam Hain records anymore. Who's talking about that? Oh, fuck this guy. No, he gets alerted. It's like, it's again, look, in hindsight, I think it's real stupid, but I understand what happened now. I just didn't know that it would, because it has to get cleared before it can go live. Like they do. Sometimes I'll sit here for a video, like every video that goes on my channel has been created for, dude, probably a day before, or maybe hours before at the least, because it's got to go through a process of clearing everything to make sure that I didn't say anything that I can't say, and there's not any music that's in there that I can't have. It's not a simple process, and it does take, that's how it's an intent, versus an accident. It was never an accident. But
are there other bands or artists that you've had any interactions with like that?
Yes, dude. There's some really crazy ones that would blow your mind, dude. The worst one is actually worse than the Misfits, that I hate more than anything, because it's The Misfits, now that I know how it operates, whatever, I won't do it again, right? Like I rarely even play their music on my live stream anymore because I just don't want to deal with it. Fucking Less Than Jake, dude.
Oh wow.
And I think it's because they're on a major label. No matter what I do, if it's got even 3 seconds of a clip, like I made a documentary where I had some stuff in there, and Less Than Jake came on. It was like, I think it was 4.5 seconds of a song. Da-na-na-na-na-na. And that was it, bro. And it was like describing something, and it got like blocked, not even claimed. Like they were like, no, boom. That's another thing. He could have just blocked the video. Dude, it was strategic. That's why it pisses me off. He took all the money and then did this. He could have just blocked it out right from the jump, and it would never have gone live. But he decided, no, I'll take the money from it. So he claimed it. It was claimed before it went live. So I knew before it even went live that he was going to get the money from it. Didn't care. It comes out, it does gangbusters numbers, and then he's like, all right, it's it came out and it went really high. And once it plateaued, then he decided to just go ahead and let me go ahead and claim, strike that. So it was a particular series of events that opened my eyes to some things, which had me reach out and email some people going, hey, what happened here? Because I had to figure it out because 3 of those and your channel's gone. A strike is rare, which is another thing that's aggravating about it. A strike is very rare. They'll just block your video because they have a lot of options. They don't have to strike it. They don't have to do that, man. That's like
it's shocking to me that, and I don't know all the inner workings of like content creating, but it's shocking that YouTube would give people so much power over content creators.
It's easy to figure that out. They don't want. Okay, so all they want is they want our viewership. They want our hours. They want our time. If they don't give those companies that power, those companies will then yank their music from even being able to be on the platform. And if that happens, creators go away and viewers go away. So to them, it's just easier to be shitting on the fucking creators and letting the big guys. It's always a class thing. There's always a class war. Let the people with the money have, because I can legally fight this. I will win in court legally. If I wanted to, I could fight that. I could get all the money back. I could get my video back on the channel. I can't afford it, and they know that. So YouTube goes, well, you can fight it. It's like, no, I can't, and you know I can't. But that's their get out of jail free card, saying, well, you can fight it. We offer that. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, you have to go to court for that.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm legally allowed to do.
It's crazy. Yeah,
it's system. Crazy. It's the system, bro. It's the system. It's the system.
Like for me, I'd say a good 80% of what I do on YouTube is watching live shows. Like I watch like all day long. I'm like watching live stuff. If I'm cooking in the kitchen, I have the TV on in the living room with like some live concert. Like I constantly like
that could go away like that. All the label has to do is decide they don't want it available anymore. But legally, within the laws of our country, I am allowed to do reviews of music that include the music, as long as it is not. The actual language is, as long as somebody couldn't take what I did and replace what they have. So if you could take a chunk of my video and instead of listening to the label's version, you could just listen to my video, they either have the right to take the money in full or block it, right? But if I start changing things and pausing it and talking about it, that is now a review. That is the language is, I can't remember all the words, but that's what's considered fair use. This is why you have to pause it. You have to talk about it. You have to break it down. There has to be dialogue. You have to have an opinion, or you have to be teaching or making a video essay or a documentary. You can't. And even then, when you're doing that kind of stuff, you have to use little snippets of the song. It's very clear what you're allowed to do. So, but YouTube doesn't want to be the one that risks anything. So in order to not risk anything, they don't. They know we're going to create stuff anyway. So they just go, fuck these guys.
It's blanketed across the board. Then I guess they just say the hell with it. It's crazy.
They just don't, because they have the power to step in. They could, and it would be legal. They just don't, because then they would risk. What they don't understand is that they also have power. They just don't want to do it. It's a thing about I'd rather just not anger these people. I'd rather just not do it. Because
I'd like to think that there's more people out there that are like me. Is like I'll watch live concert stuff, and that influences me to want to go buy a ticket. To want to go to
tens of thousands, maybe millions of people do that. Fucking labels, but the thing is that labels,
that influences me to want to go buy the record, to want to go to the concert, to want to go get a ticket.
What you're not understanding is that most labels aren't Danzig. They leave it up. They just take all the money. It's all fucked. They run all of it. So when you're watching a live video, the person that paid for the ticket, that traveled there, that stood in line, that went inside, held the camera. They get nothing from that. It's a gray area. I don't know what they should get, but they should get some kind of compensation for that, in my opinion, if there's going to be ad revenue on that video, right? But even when I break a song down and I pause it and I chop it up and I only put half of it in there anyways, they still take all the ad revenue. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Even the fucking band won't see anything from it, which is even more crazy. It's a wild, wild thing, man. I played a song from a record that I released on my label, and it got fucking copyright claimed by somebody that wasn't me or the band. It took me like 75 days to get that shit cleared, dude. It's a system that it's not built for us. It's not built for the small bands. It's built for big ass corporations, man. Just like everything else is. But Danzig happens to have a really, really big band that's really, like super huge, and also owns the music, because they fought for a long time about that music. He owns that music, so he's like the exception to the rule. And look, dude, I'm not mad that he wants the money for his music. He deserves that. I'm irritated that he's such a petty prick. That's what's annoying.
And coming from a guy who took his logo from an old movie,
bro. I have said that shit so many, and his other logo from a comic book. It's very rich, isn't it? It's very, very hilarious. Man, this has been a way longer podcast than I thought it was going to be. I hope you're having a good time. I've been having a blast talking with you.
Yeah, likewise, man. Likewise.
Yeah, dude. Well, shit, man. I'm gonna get out of here because I actually am like an hour late for dinner, but I'm sure my kids are just standing there like, "What the fuck, Dad?" No, my wife got home a little while ago, but yeah, I do need to go. You, man. No. I'm sorry to keep you. I've been jibber jabbering, bro. If you can't tell, I don't know how to shut the fuck up. So I have to do podcasting, or else I'm gonna, fail at whatever else it is I'm doing. But man, I will be a supporter indefinitely. So you keep me updated with what you're doing. And there's so much going on in my life. If you think about it, and you want me to put a thing on my channel or whatever, you want me to review a song, you want me to play a video, all I need is you to tell me, and I got you, bro. I don't need nothing else from you. I don't need no money and nothing like that. I like what you're doing, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. And it's very clear that this is a passion, and you're doing it for the right reasons. So I would love to help in any way that I can. So
I really appreciate that, man. I really do.
Hell yeah. And dude, look, man, shout out to Glenn Danzig, bro. Keep doing your thing, bro. Like, look, I'm talking about it because it came up. I don't really spend much time thinking about it. I don't care. I learned my lesson. I learned that there are people out there that no matter what you do, they're going to do something that irritates you. And they don't understand things that I understand. We don't agree on things the same way. Nor should we have to. Nor should he have to do anything different. He had every right to do what he did. I just thought it was an odd choice is what it ends up being at the end of the day. So, it is what it is, man.
Yeah. Shit, sorry that happened, but
I mean, dude, like I said, I really talk about it because you were talking about Danzig, right? And it's such a crazy thing, man. Like I learned a lot from that situation. I didn't know he was like that, or I wouldn't have even done any of that. I wish that YouTube would step in and make some decisions that would change things for creators. And I also wish that people would be a little more respectful of bands' art and stuff. Like, don't just steal an album, upload it, and expect to get anything from that. You shouldn't. Now, if you're just uploading an album and you don't care where the ad revenue goes, and you're doing it to spread the word, good. That's what you should do. I do that all the time. I put up albums and it gets claimed and it goes to the band. That's exactly what it should do. But man, if you're doing you're creating something different, or you're promoting an album, or you're reviewing an album, I don't understand it, dude. To use the tools you're given people. Good Lord. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna finally shut the fuck up and go get some dinner. You're in LA, so it's only like 5:30.
Yeah, 5:35.
Yeah, like 8:30 right now, or 7:30 right now. So I'm like, I look now, yeah, it got late quick. But hell yeah, brother. Hey, thanks for talking with me, man. I'm gonna upload this whole fucking thing. People can watch it or they cannot. It's up to them.
Likewise, man. Good talking to you, brother.
You as well. Keep in touch, man. We'll do it again one of these days.
Yeah, for sure. Take care.
All right. Hey, everybody. Dude, go out there and listen to this man's music. I will put it in the description of this video. Please, it'll be a link. It's very simple. Click and you can go check it out. Please go listen to it. Support this.
Check out the new video. It's coming out on Wednesday on Cleopatra Records.
I will be doing like a reaction or whatever to that for sure, man. Whatever I can do to push it out there. So
awesome. Brother. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah. Later, bud.
Take care.